Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says Karim's story doesn't add up.
Well, my first concern is with the numbers. Your version in the statement is a loan of 10 million. It turns out that there were payments of 12.12 million. We need an explanation where the extra 2.12 million comes from. My second concern is that even on the version on the statement, what you have is a loan of 10 million to a relative stranger without any security, which seems commercially odd to me, to say the least.
Karim returns to the commission on the 16th of April. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
In Parliament, Acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Hilda Sentumole, says suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu overreached when he tried to disband the Political Killings Task Team. She also says Mchunu was wrong to exclude KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi when he took that decision in December 2024. Sentumole yesterday accused Mchunu of interference during her testimony before Parliament's ad hoc committee that's investigating police corruption. Babalondenze was there.
Hilda Sentumole is the latest witness to accuse Minister on Special Leave Senzo Mchunu of undue political influence. Sentumole told the ad hoc committee that she only found out about Mchunu's directive to disband the PKTT more than a month after he issued the directive. She was asked by EFF leader Julius Malema what she thought of the directive.
Do you think it's a political interference for a minister to write a letter on the 31st of December disbanding the PKTT without consulting the top management of the police?
Sentumole said she agrees.
But he could not sit alone and then make those decisions. So for me, operationally, I think, for lack of a better word, I think he overreached. The intentions might have been good, but I think the process was flawed.
She says Mchunu should have also consulted with the Interministerial Committee, which could have led to a different outcome. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The ANC-led minority government in Gauteng says it's in discussions with other political parties for support to pass its budget. Finance MEC Lebogang Maile tabled the 179.2 billion rand budget for the 2026-27 financial year with a focus on critical services such as health, education and policing. The EFF has vowed not to support it following a fallout with the ANC, but Maile has urged parties to put their differences aside for the benefit of residents.
We hope that in the best interest of the public, because when you look at the budget, you will see that the bulk of the budget is going to the most vulnerable society. So we are, of course, concerned. So we will work with them and everyone else to try and pass the budget.
And Iran has unleashed a new wave of strikes, including drones targeting a Saudi oil field. These attacks came after the International Energy Agency reportedly proposed its largest ever oil reserve release to calm markets and prices. The war sparked by US-Israeli strikes on Iran has spiked energy costs, forcing fuel rationing and price hikes. The US yesterday attacked Iranian ships capable of mining the Strait of Hormuz, the crucial passageway for oil that has been effectively closed. Israel also launched new waves of strikes both in Beirut and Tehran, where residents hunkered down after being smothered by black rain from Israeli bombing of fuel deposits. Iranian ambassador to the United Nations Amir Saeed Aravani has accused the Security Council of ignoring what he calls a war crime.
It is deeply regrettable that Security Council continues to remain silent. The Council is turning a blind eye to this grave violation despite its primary responsibility under the UN Charter to maintain international peace and security.
Gold is trading at $5,208, 1 cent an ounce. The rand is at 16.24 to the dollar, 21.84 to the pound, 18.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $87.63 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Sandton, we've got an accident reported on the M1 South. It's right near Grayston Drive. It's already causing delays coming out of the Baku interchange while traveling out of Diepkloof. Another accident seen on the N1 North right after the Soweto Highway. It is also slowing down traffic.
And in your sport, a 2-0 victory for Mamelodi Sundowns over Orbit College sees them go 3 points clear at the top of the Betway Premiership, while the round of 16 first leg UEFA Champions League matches saw a late penalty from Barcelona secure a 1-1 draw, while there were wins for Bayern as well as Atletico Madrid and Liverpool.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 12 and 26. Vereniging 11 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour. Evidence leaders at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry say they've been left with more questions than answers following the two-day testimony of Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast on this Wednesday, the 11th of March, the year of our Lord 2026. Welcome to the program. As always, of course, I'm not alone. I've got an entire team of colleagues. KG Start the Clock is ready today. He's got a mix like you have not heard him put together, he says. That's going to happen a little later on in the show. Amuramila, do you know who we will be celebrating? He's South African. He's probably the most famous person doing his craft. Millions, throngs come to see him wherever he goes around the world.
He's award-winning.
He's award-winning. He's from Mthatha. I just had to claim him.
I heard that.
From the Republic of Transkei. Muteo Kharipe, any clues?
I think I watched him for 24 hours at Maponya Mall once. Close to 24 hours.
We'll tell you in a moment who we're talking about. But I like him. Strong in the morning.
Giving it away there.
Right? I like him strong in the morning with no sugar. KG has a mix. He has promised us. On our menu today, we'll tell you about the African Spelling Bee Championships. South African learners are routinely said to be behind their fellow learners from the rest of the continent. How will they fare in this competition? Our big interview focuses on the Middle East. We clearly can't stop the most powerful nation in the world. Well, what about the others? What about those in the G7? The finance ministers and energy ministers meeting earlier in the week. Not a stum of condemnation of the war in the Middle East, even though we know the dominoes are going to fall on top of all of us. What are they afraid of? That's our big interview.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Do you have a LinkedIn profile? And were you able to get a job as a result of a LinkedIn profile? How do you make sure your LinkedIn profile pops and is noticed and gets you the kind of attention you desire? And I'd love to hear from human capital practitioners about what they look for in LinkedIn profiles. We've got Seamus Clancy, the public sector head for LinkedIn across Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things, including, of course, the coming world of work. That's a little after 8 o'clock. And then just before 9, as always, of course, in that segment of the show, we focus on the arts. And we'll tell you about Buhlebendalo, Soul, Spirit, and Sisterhood, to a live music series called Her.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
011-883-0702 is our studio number. If you want to chat to us, we'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. And, of course, I always want to hear from first-time callers if you are sending us a WhatsApp voice note for the very first time, but also not forgetting those who have been long-time listeners. So do tell us which category you fall under. Our mission, as always, is to tell you what's going on in the world, why it matters, and how it will impact you. I hope everyone is feeling good and ready to join us on the show. So our shout-out this morning, very simple. Have you ever been pressured to doing something wrong by friends or family members? You knew it, they knew it. And it matters not so much whether you did go along. I mean, if you want to tell us that part of the story, that's fine. But at least somebody tried. somebody said, no, man, nobody will notice. Nobody will see. It doesn't matter. It's not such a big deal. Let's do this. Have you been pressured ever to do something wrong by friends or family? Send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702. You can even do so anonymously. I'm going to tell you why coming up shortly. Amo?
Let's walk the talk.
702.
I'm sure I've been pressured before, Bongani. Good morning to 702 Landers as well. But whether or not I fell for the pressure is another story. But I have been in those moments where I felt like, if I don't do this, definitely my the friendship is gone,
Yeah.
And because in the industry that we work in, people would usually just ask for tickets or, tickets that were meant for competition use, right? And a friend would phone in and say, no, let's use a different name so that, it sounds like I am the listener. And I'd say,
Yeah.
honey, I
Not
don't
gonna
know
do
how
that.
to, that can happen, but I don't know how to handle myself after that, how to carry myself. I wouldn't know how to come back on A and be the normal Amu that I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who am I after that?
Yeah, exactly my point. And if it comes out, how do I then come out and explain that, I didn't know that I wouldn't be able to. If I can't lie to my mom, I can't lie to anyone.
Mateo?
The pressures do come from family sometimes, whether it's how to run your own family, how to do your wedding day. So you have to almost push back a lot of the time because it would be a couple of people gang up against you to say, we've always done it this way and you guys should also do it the same. And for you, maybe it might not be a fit for the way you'd like to run your own home. So yeah, the pressures are there.
And it may be something as simple as what car you buy, what car you drive, which neighborhood you live in, what kind of furniture, what will the neighbors say, what will people say, right? That sometimes comes with the pressure. I'd love to hear your stories. And the reason, of course, that prompts that question is extraordinary.
702.
More than a radio station.
13
Let's
after
walk the
6. We always keep you up to date with what's going on in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And yesterday, it was all fireworks, was it not? I want you to listen to what unfolded at the commission yesterday as proceedings began. Tensions flared up, of course, when lawyer Rafik Bana accused the chairperson, Judge Mbuyiseli Madlanga, of having already made up his mind about a postponement request. Bana was there representing the Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim, who's been testifying for the last couple of days, and essentially said the commission was not giving his legal team sufficient time to go through stacks and stacks and stacks of documents. There were spreadsheets, there were all kinds of graphs that they needed to look at, and they say they are not being given enough time to review those with their client, and their client is expected to be able to answer questions they, his lawyers, haven't taken him through. And so there was some discussion about, all right, if we were to give you this amount of time, how much would you need? And that's where things started to go a little awry, and then from there it just disintegrated. Have a listen.
What's your position with regard to the separation suggested by Mr. Shaskalsin? That is, issues relating to, is it the infographic? And the schedule. If those are pushed over to Friday, and that everything else be dealt with today
Chair,
still.
firstly, we're not available on Friday. I'm in the High Court on a matter, and I haven't canvassed my legal team's availability, but Mr. Karim has me here representing him for this leg, so I'm not available on Friday. But we're happy to agree a date as soon as possible that suits diaries. We say there's no prejudice in holding over all of this to when Mr. Karim comes back. It's clear his evidence can't be completed today. It's clear that with the stand on, we in any case going to eat up into a substantial portion of today.
So, very important part of that conversation. The judge says, how much time would you need if those things are pushed over to some other time? We can carry on perhaps with the rest, but these specific issues that you say you've only just received the information about, we push those over to some other time. How much time would you need? That's what the judge wanted to know. He comes back and he says, look, even if you give us time to go review this with our client, it's probably going to take up a whole chunk of today's time. So really, and we're not available on Friday. So what really he's trying to do is to push for them to come back some other day and not deal with anything, even the matters that he would admit they did prepare their client to be able to answer on. And then it got a little tougher. Have a listen.
It seems then that you've prejudged an application that
Mr. Bana, I take strong exception to that.
No.
You know, and you are an experienced counsel, people presiding, you know that judges will engage you during argument, engage you to an extent that you will think they are against you. But in the end, you are surprised that the judgment is in your favor. Engaging counsel has nothing to do with matters being prejudged, and you know that. I take very strong exception to that attitude.
I don't think...
In fact, I find it unprofessional for you to say that I have prejudged issues purely because I'm engaging you. I take strong exception to that.
I don't think that you should take exception. And
I do.
Right? Remember, he said if. And then the guy says, well, it looks like you've already prejudged the matter. And Justice Madlanga bristled at that and said, I take strong exception. I'm just engaging you. As a lawyer, you should know, often judges will ask you questions. You might even think you are losing the case, and then find to your surprise that part of their engagement was to get to your side of the argument. How dare you, is essentially what the judge is saying. And this advocate Bana says, well, you have no reason to take exception to that. Essentially, I don't care, right? That was his initial response to that.
Thank you, Chair. May I just say the apology is unconditional. I did not hear the if when you made the statement, and what you correctly pointed out is you said, if we are not inclined to adjourn. And I understood that you said you were not inclined to adjourn, so the apology is unconditional.
Now the apology is accepted, Mr. Bana.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
There was a time, of course, where there was an exchange just before this, where the judge says, I don't accept your apology, because he said, in fact, not only do you know better than this, I insist that you apologize for what you are suggesting. And the guy said, well, this is what I understood you to have said. So if that's the case, then I'm sorry. And Justice Madlanga was saying, no. I will not accept it as a condition. You apologize unconditionally. And of course, as what you heard there, it later then got to the point where Advocate Bana did apologize. But it was explosive yesterday. I don't know how much of it you saw, but you can really get the sense that the commission is onto something. Look no further than the attitude. It's one thing to have a poor witness, right? But to have a combative lawyer going against the commissioners in the way that we saw yesterday, doesn't it give you a sense that the commission may be onto something?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
So we'll see then what happens. Evidence leaders at the commission say they've been left with more questions than answers following that two-day testimony of the Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim. His testimony focused on questionable transactions between him and controversial figures, the likes of Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, Hangwani Maumela and Brown Mukhotsi. He tried to distance himself from them, but the evidence he had to answer to suggested otherwise.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Mateo, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know from you and the 702 landers this morning, Bongani, what's that one good decision, big or small, that you made that's still paying off today?
Ooh, that's a very, very good question. There are so many from different eras of my life. I think coming out, right?
Okay.
Not pretending to be straight, coming out and going on that journey. The divorce was a defining era, a point of my life, which everything turned on.
Must have been a tough decision to make.
It was at the time, but my goodness, I'm so much happier for it.
Mine is a very light one. I mean, I decided to focus more on myself and the things that I loved doing, because I remember just after having kids, in the short space that I had both of them, I'd stopped sort of like liking the things that I liked, like going out to theater plays, reading,
Yeah.
and playing or doing puzzles. I sort of had forgotten the things that made me happy because I was focused so much on the kids, the family, the marriage, and so going back to those things just was a big decision for me.
So going back to Amo and
Yeah.
not being the mother all the time.
Who is Amo? That's been the question of the morning.
702.
Weather.
You'll tell us why you're asking that question coming up. But in the meantime, a partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures will max a little higher than yesterday. 24 degrees is your high in Joburg. 26 in Pretoria. 25 in Vereeniging. Still quite hot for Cape Town. If you thought 39 was hot yesterday, it's 40 degrees, the maximum predicted for Cape Town. Very hot day indeed. There'll be a light breeze. Gqeberha peaks at 27 degrees. It's London 28, Durban 26.
EWN Traffic.
Our first look at the roads, 22 after 6. Amma, what are you seeing?
Bongani, off to a very busy morning. We've got an accident reported on the N1 North as you leave Diepkloof. This is along the N1 North near the N17 turn-off delays as you come out of the Soweto Highway. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South towards Marlborough Drive, also due to another accident scene. Delays coming from the Baku interchange while traveling on the N3 North. We've got roadworks that are taking place right near Van Buren Road. Delays coming out of the Elands turn-off. If you do come across anything else on the roads, please do remember to share those reports with us. We are on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes after 6 o'clock, things you need to know at this hour. This is an extraordinary story. 5 people were arrested in a pre-dawn raid in Limpopo yesterday. So round about this time yesterday, these arrests were being made. It's in connection with a 10 million rand insurance murder fraud case. And at the center of it is yet another policewoman. Do you remember Rosemary Ndlovu, who was a policewoman, who was charged for taking out insurance policies on her relatives and killing them off? Well, it seems she's multiplied, because here's another one. Rachel Shokane Kutumela is accused of orchestrating multiple killings to cash in on life insurance policies. She's now in custody, listen to this, alongside her daughter, her sister, and elder brother, following bail denials as court proceedings continue to unravel their sinister plots. Authorities have also issued 7 additional arrest warrants linked to the deadly payout scheme. Investors alleged that all the suspects took out life and funeral policies on 10 individuals. It's a scheme that goes back to 2013. And they did all sorts of things because these people weren't all killed in the same way. So they tried to disguise it as much as they could. Some people had accidents. Some people were poisoned. Others disappeared. Another had acid thrown on them. And the case that raised suspicion was when they found the body of a disabled man floating in a stream. And they just knew the guy clearly hadn't walked to get to the stream. Something must have taken him there. And there was, of course, an insurance policy on his life. And then the dominoes began to fall. What I find extraordinary about this story is they did it as a family. You kill Muteo, okay, I'll take out Uamo. I'll take out Sfiso Zulu. You know when people refuse to give you death certificates because they don't want you? It used to be that people would say, I don't want you to profit from my demise. Yay. Right? Isn't that the most unbelievable story? It's one thing to do it alone. The whole family was in on it. That's why I was asking you, have you ever been pressured to do something wrong as a family? Italy has made a major move to keep an important piece of art in the country. It's one of the most expensive artworks the Italian state has ever purchased. Vicky Turner will give us more views, or at least an explanation on this in the World View. But essentially they were saying, keep it Italian, keep it in the family. Time to face the music. Remember the shocking clip from last October showing several boys armed with belts, a wooden leg, and hockey sticks assaulting younger learners in what was described then as some kind of initiation ritual. This was at Milnerton High School in Cape Town. Well, those chaps are now back at the Cape Town Magistrates Court facing charges of assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm. How are you feeling about the upcoming local government elections? Have you started researching who you want to vote for? Have you made up your mind? Or are you still undecided? The Electoral Commission of South Africa announcing that voter registration will take place on the 20th and 21st of June. And I'm one of those pushing, I don't care who you vote for, just please vote. And the global music star Black Coffee, that's who I was talking about, turns all of 50 today. He was born Nkosinathi Innocent Maphumulo on this day in 1976. The acclaimed DJ, producer, and songwriter, best known for so many hits, Superman, Come With Me, Drive, Deep in the Bottom of Africa, and many others, is now a 50-year-old timer.
702.
The newspapers.
Swiso Zulu.
Good morning,
A very
Bongani.
good morning to you. What's grabbing your attention in the papers?
We are focusing on England this morning, Bongani, where families whose babies died or were injured in a maternity scandal in that country have welcomed the appointment of a new head of inquiry who will be looking into maternity failures across the National Health Service, which is a publicly funded healthcare system. So the UK government has named senior midwife Donna Okendeen to lead the inquiry. She previously led a similar investigation into another maternity scandal, which uncovered serious failings linked to hundreds of babies who died and were injured in hospitals. And this particular one was prompted by a BBC investigation, which found that 56 babies and 2 mothers died after shortcomings at teaching hospitals across England.
Goodness me. The Sowetan going big on this insurance murder syndicate story. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They say it was because this body of a disabled man was found floating in a dam, and that's what blew the lid on what is now an 11-man syndicate behind 10 million rand murder for insurance scheme. Some of these people were killed in various ways. 2 were burnt. 1 was found in the street dead. Another one who was living with a disability, as I say, floating in a dam. Another one had acid poured over them. Yet another one was burnt inside a vehicle. Another burnt to death inside a shack. I mean, they not only took out insurance policies on people they knew and family members, they made sure these people died gruesome deaths.
Yeah.
And the police say they did their research. Is this the most evil family you've heard about?
EWN Business.
This EWN Business is brought to you by Volvo. Experience the best of both worlds with plug-in hybrids, electric when you want, and fuel when you need. Mateo wants to know the one good decision you made that's still paying off today. A new hobby perhaps, becoming an early riser, going to gym, improving your network. What prompts the question?
Well, Bongani, 25 years ago, a South African media firm made a bold decision to bet on a Chinese tech startup. Yes, JSC Darling and media and tech firm Naspers is still benefiting from that decision. The company's Tencent investment is still paying off to this day as the Chinese firm goes aggressive on artificial intelligence models. Now, Tencent holding shares rose as much as 6.2% on Tuesday in Hong Kong after the internet giant launched WorkBuddy, an AI agent for workplace tasks that's fully compatible with OpenClaw. Now, launched in November of last year, OpenClaw is an agent that leverages large language models to perform daily functions. So at a set time, it can scan your calendar, review your inbox, and send a structured summary of your day to your messaging app like WhatsApp. So if you have meetings and things like that, it will remind you of that. You can also every 30-minute check for urgent emails, review calendars, and monitor any Slack.
Oh, I need this.
So,
gimme.
It's proven quite popular in China, and that's why we're seeing the shares of Naspers going up 7% to 945 a share, while Prosus, the Naspers subsidiary, also went up 8%. Naspers bought a stake in Tencent in 2001 for $34 million. It's now $170 billion worth.
goodness me. That's just extraordinary, right? Work, buddy, work, buddy, work, buddy. You'll be hearing from me. Where's the rand?
16 Rand 22, stronger against the dollar this morning. 18 Rand 88 cents against the euro, and at 21 Rand 82 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,204 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 0.5% at $2,208. Brent crude at $87.39 a barrel. More business after 7.
Remember when you had to hurry up and wait, and cars could only run on fossil fuels? Well, hurry up and catch up. You don't need diesel power, you just need a second electric motor. With Volvo plug-in hybrids, you can drive electric in the city, switch to fuel for the long haul, or combine both when you want it all. So what are you waiting for? You're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, a very good morning to you. What do you have at this hour?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Well, the Electoral Commission says it has budgeted about 2.6 billion rand to administer the upcoming local government elections. The Commission outlined its readiness for the municipal polls in Centurion yesterday. IEC Chief Electoral Officer Simon Mabulo says the Cooperative Governance Minister will be the one who soon announces the voting date.
We have a fair budget to run the elections. If we exclude our administrative expenses, we're looking at a 2.6 billion budget to do the elections. So we really have been engaging hard with Treasury.
Despite resigning as Ekurhuleni's finance MMC and the ANC's regional secretary, Jongizizwe Hlabati will remain in both those positions. Hlabati unexpectedly resigned last month. It's understood that his resignation was sparked by a fallout with the mayor and ANC regional leader Dr. Xhakaza. But he's now returned to both positions, also making a return to the city council. Alfara Mushwana explains.
Internal divisions and squabbles within the ANC had left the party's structures in Ekurhuleni in limbo after a key figure resigned as its regional secretary and the city's finance MMC. Insiders confirmed that Jongizizwe Hlabati was very angry at the city's mayor and ANC leader Dr. Xhakaza following a massive fallout. However, the ANC's national leaders rejected Hlabati's resignation, in which he had relinquished his position as finance MMC and the party's regional secretary. Hlabati was advised to return to both positions, especially now that the local government elections are fast approaching. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And the lawyer representing a Bulgarian man wanted by Interpol says he's confident his client will be released on bail in Cape Town. Stanislav Stamenov was arrested in the metro last month in an Interpol red notice. In 2009, a Romanian court sentenced him in absentia to 16 years in prison for drug trafficking. He appeared in the Wynberg Magistrates Court yesterday, where the matter was postponed to next Wednesday for a formal bail application. Ntutuzelo Nene was in court.
Stanislav Stamenov's bid to secure his release was dismissed by the Wynberg Magistrates Court yesterday. His lawyer, William Booth, had argued that his client's arrest on an Interpol red notice was unlawful. However, Booth says he remains confident about Stamenov's chances when the bail application is heard next week.
But I don't want to predict what the magistrate is going to find. But having done a few bail applications before, I know what the requirements are, and I feel he fits fairly and squarely into the requirements that a court should look at for the release of a person.
The state has indicated that it will oppose bail. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 12 degrees, peaking at highs between 24 and 26.
And in the traffic in Kempton Park, we've got a major accident seen along the R21 South. It's near the OR Tambo Airport. It's causing heavy delays coming out of Atlas Road. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North leaving Soweto via the N1 North towards the N17. An accident reported there as well.
The top story this hour, the IEC says it has budgeted about 2.6 billion rand to administer the upcoming local government elections.
Vodacom's Red Hot Deals presents 2 iPhone 15 128 gig smartphones for just 1,099 per month over 36 months on a 1 gig Red Core plan. Plus a Flexi 90 plan on the second device. You save 4,680. Now that's an extraordinary deal. Miss it, miss out. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom. Let's hear from Dr. Amant, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
How's it, Doff? How's it, Savvy? Why are you sitting in your driveway all by your lonesome, Doff? Selling my car, Sav. I don't trust the internet. I like to wheel and deal my own wheels. That's how you make way more, Sav. Okay, so where's your car now, Doff? Potential buyers took it for a test drive. When did they take it for a test drive, Doff? 3 days ago. Should have sold it to We Buy Cars, Doff. Yeah, Savvy.
Don't be Doff, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for a fast, safe sale, geared for you.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by OUTsurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So send us an answer based on something you heard in the show. You'll win 1,000 Rand. WhatsApp it to 072 702 1702 along with your name. Then later, someone else will ask a question to get your answer and they'll win 2,000 Rand. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to 45142 to get yourself a quote and to save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hey, good morning, Bongani. This is Theo from Etuduza. Look, Bongani, the defense team for Karim already know that they are on a corner because of the evidence against them. So from the first day, they didn't start yesterday. From the first day, they came to play the player, not the ball. They started with Councillor Baloyi, Commissioner Baloyi. And then whenever they try with Commissioner Kumalo, he's very smart, he doesn't give in to them. And they also tried with evidence leaders. Now, yesterday, they pushed the chairperson. So they didn't start yesterday. All along, ever since they came, they've been trying to play the player, not the ball.
Good morning to Bongani and the team. The commissioner, I'm watching it toe to toe because I'm working night shift. And there are a few things which I'm not happy with. But if it was a street fight, somebody would be on the floor as we speak. These rich people, they are a problem. You can see somebody did something wrong, but he doesn't want to say, yes, I paid 2.5 to that person. He's saying, I want to consult my lawyer, running around. These things.
I said to a lawyer friend yesterday, surely what you do is you advise your client. This is also about the bigger fish. I mean, if you've been caught and you can see that there's no way to explain yourself out of this nonsense, why don't you show some contrition and maybe help the commission nab even bigger fish? Be contrite and be sorry and say, I'll tell you even more. So that at least whatever may come your way isn't nearly as rough as it may be if you are seen to be a bad witness.
Hi, Bongani and team. I know a lot of people are very, reluctant to trust that LinkedIn does work. I landed my previous job and my current job through LinkedIn. My previous one, I got a DM from a recruiter. They were like, hey, I've got this position. Would you be interested? We exchanged contact details, went for an interview, got the job. Then my current one, the position was posted on LinkedIn and I applied via LinkedIn and I got the job. And I'm very happy where I am right now. LinkedIn does work. This is Kanyisila from Ekabecha.
Look, I'm not sure if people are generally mistrustful of LinkedIn. I mean, I think opportunities are few and far between. So maybe you didn't get the job from LinkedIn, but maybe somebody else did. It has 1 billion users around the world.
EWN Sport.
Let's talk sport now. Anthony Teixeira in for Cindy Paluta once again. Now, special performances, Anthony. You'll see music stars, bands, pop stars. Often what they'll do is they'll have a special, and it will be called One Night Only. Anthony Teixeira appearing, I don't know, at Madison Square Gardens. One night only. What Mamelodi Sundowns have achieved is for one night only. Hopefully.
You really believe that? Listen, if it is just one night, what a night it was.
We have a game in hand, is what I'm saying.
Which you play this evening, Orlando
Yes,
Pirates.
so it was one night only at the top of the Premiership.
I would
for
say
Mamelodi Sundowns.
Don't count your points before you have them. We've seen this before way too many times. But yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns took their chance and they moved 3 points clear at the top of the Betway Premiership.
One night only.
Second half goals from Masingo as well as Reyners saw them down Orbit College 2-0. Their title rivals, Orlando Pirates, have a chance to respond in kind as they take on Richards Bay this evening.
To correct the world.
Yeah.
Back to where it should be.
In Europe, we had the round of 16 of the Champions League kick-off with the last kick of the game seeing Lamine Yamal convert a penalty as Barcelona salvaged a 1-0 draw against a revitalized Newcastle. Bayern Munich hammered Atalanta 6-1 in Italy, while Spurs slipped to a 5-2 defeat against Atletico Madrid, and Liverpool beaten in Turkey by Galatasaray once again this season. A bit of deja vu throughout. Victor Osimhen heavily involved in an early goal. A VAR made contentious rulings and it ended 1-0. Arne Slot shared his thoughts on a disallowed equaliser after it was determined that it struck Konate's arm.
But let's say that decision was right. Then I was even more frustrated about the fact that every free kick and every corner kick we took, if we only look at Galatasaray players, the referee already gave a free kick for Galatasaray. And if you then look at how much they pulled on Virgil's shirt, then it's safe to say that we were not the only one impressed by the atmosphere here today.
In cricket, the West Indies have been forced to book commercial flights from India in order to return home. The Windies have been stuck in Kolkata since they were eliminated from the T20 World Cup on March 1st due to the travel disruptions caused by conflict across the Middle East. They had been repeatedly delayed in organising a chartered flight through the ICC and have since elected to put players and support staff safely first on a flying commercial. While the Proteas waited close to a week for their flight since their semi-final exit, bias has been directed towards the ICC as England were flown home within 2 days of their exit from the competition. And in tennis, Victoria Mboko through to the Indian Wells quarterfinals thanks to a 6-4, 6-1 win over Amanda Anisimova, while Jasmine Paolini was dumped out by Talia Gibson, and women's world number 1 Arina Sabalenka won 6-2, 6-4 against Naomi Osaka. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Hello, Uncle Bongani and team. My name is Shamar Shooter. I go to the King School Westland. I'm 10 years old. When I grow up, I would like to be a pediatric surgeon and an electric engineer.
We can't wait to play with you too, Shamar. Will you walk away with 10,000 Rand?
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
It's 6:45 on the nose. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
Well, Bongani, we do have an accident in the Kempton Park area, and Joel in Kempton Park has more details on it.
There's a traffic delay towards the R21 South. Shortly before the R21 and R24 split, I just went past what causes the delay. Actually, it's a taxi hit the truck that's moving the fleet of cars. So the taxi hit the truck from behind. That's what causes the delay. Joel from Kempton Park, have a splendid Wednesday.
And please be on the lookout if you're traveling along this route. If you're catching a flight at 7 a.m., you might run late. So try to use Atlas Road as your alternative towards the OR Tambo Airport. While traveling on the Mike 1 North, we've got peak time delays between Boyson's Road and Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic reported along the N3 North. Roadworks are causing these delays towards the Van Buren Road exit. Queuing traffic out of the Airlines interchange. I'll have more traffic updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when your jeans still fit even after the weekend? Now that's how good it feels to see Outsurance pointsmen on your route. Everyone feels the difference when they're on the roads, and they've been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Lekalakala, Station Pomola. I love 702 because 702 always keep us updated. Everything that happens around the world is the first one to let us know what is going on.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Celebrate the power of African storytelling. Join Freedom Park in collaboration with the South African State Theatre for the 13th Ungasali Storytelling Festival on the 14th of March at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. Experience powerful performances through poetry, theatre, music and traditional storytelling as we celebrate the voices and stories that shape our heritage. Tickets are available at web tickets for 150 Rand. The Ungasali Storytelling Festival, where African stories come alive. Don't miss it.
I heard she's got a recruiter team working 24/7.
That one, she has a secret supply of talent.
I knew it. She's definitely keeping a secret from us.
Nothing mysterious, guys. It's SA Youth, South Africa's largest youth online recruitment platform. Fast to post, effortless to use, and effective every time.
Recruit on the portal to potential, sayouth.co.za, powering South Africa's youth workforce.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Good morning, Bongani. On the 6th of July last year, when Mkonazi mentioned that the justice system has been infiltrated, many of you did not believe him. And this is where we are now. The man might not have provided evidence when he did the press conference, but he mentioned that people will come and provide evidence. That's where we are now. But on the flip side of it, I'm very disappointed with the ad hoc committee. It's becoming political, not looking at evidence. Adams yesterday is just making some noise without substantiating or providing evidence to allegations that he's making. So yeah, that's where we are. Ntandla Mkhwanazi actually saved this country because if it was not for him, we wouldn't know what is happening at the moment. Join Pretoria.
Joan Pretoria, look, I'm not sure who you mean by you didn't believe him, but you sort of answer the reason why people might have been at least skeptical, because at that stage, not much evidence had been proffered. I think most people thought, let's wait and see. But you might have a point about the ad hoc committee in Parliament yesterday. There was that dramatic moment when, the acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Hilda Sentumule, pushed back against allegations linking her to the accused businessman Vusumuzi Cat Matlala. And then she told the committee that Matlala had not in fact paid for her Brazilian butt lift procedure. But that didn't stop her from standing up in front of members of parliament to show them what it looks like.
People have been dying to see this BBL. They were expecting. I wouldn't. It has become a national asset, so it must be seen. Before I respond to the question, I'm not sure if you see it. If I take my money to feel better, I'm not going to.
She explains that it was her money, it wasn't from Matlala. But for me, it was just that moment in Parliament where somebody gets up and says, have a look-see. Here is my BBL. Hi, we are living through things, I tell you.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, the Africa Report looks at spelling and what that means for not only South African children, but children children from across the continent. Shamaz, our 10-year-old contestant today, wants to be a pediatric surgeon or an electric engineer later on in life. Shama, is there anybody you want to say hello to?
Not really.
Not really. You just want to play. Let's get on with it then and let you play. KG, start the clock. What is 28 plus 12?
28 plus 12. Pass.
40. True or false? The word micro means extremely small.
True.
Correct. On which continent is also a country? Is it Africa or Australia?
Australia.
Correct. A fish is an animal that breathes using what? Gills or lungs?
Gills.
Correct. True or false? Botswana is a landlocked country.
True.
Correct. In which sport do players use a cue stick and 15 red balls? Is it snooker or hockey?
Snooper.
Snooker, correct. What is the name of the pirate in Peter Pan?
Captain Hook.
Correct. Which word means to put it off till later? Is it to postpone or to proceed?
Postpone.
Postpone is indeed correct. We don't have enough time to get through all 10 questions, but a really, really good round. Shama, you walk away with 700 Rand. 7 correct answers is what you got. That's a credible effort. 10 years old. We didn't get to the spelling question, though, and that would have been very interesting for our next guest.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
702.
The Africa Report.
And the reason for that, of course, is because today's Africa Report focuses on the classroom. Early literacy skills are strong predictors of future reading ability and indeed all-round school success. It's the crucial foundation for lifelong learning, and it helps you develop essential language, cognitive and social emotional skills. And one of the ways to foster that development is through the ability to spell. You see, children who understand the connection between letters and sounds get an edge in terms of their ability to decode words and concepts. What it does is it helps children to not worry about making spelling mistakes, and they can focus on what it is they are trying to write about. And that allows creativity and all sorts of success. So, how do South African learners fare compared to their counterparts from the rest of the continent? Next week, we may find out as they square off with the top young spellers from several African countries. We're joined now by Dr. Nompumelelo Nyati Muhuhlwane, Director of Reading, Directorate at the National Department of Basic Education. Appreciate your time and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
Why does spelling and early literacy matter? I mean, did I have it right in my introduction?
You did an excellent job. Well done.
Thank you, Doctor.
So literacy promotion is one aspect of reading, where you participate in activities that are leisurely, that are fun, that are not about developing the skill of decoding, but about practicing and having fun with language. And spelling bees are one of the ways that children can do this and enjoy this across multiple languages. So not just in English, but even in African languages.
We are told often when it comes to routine tests, many of our kids in South Africa, that is, are behind. What are other African countries getting right that we are not?
So often when we speak about the statistics for South Africa, we're comparing ourselves to ourselves. And even when we speak about international assessments, often South Africa is one of the few, maybe three countries on the continent that participate in these assessments. So, yeah, just saying, I guess in summary, that often South Africa is comparing itself to itself, not necessarily to other African countries.
All right, so we are not where we would like to be versus falling short of what others are doing. Tell me about this African Spelling Bee. What does it seek to achieve?
Sure. So this is the 8th African Spelling Bee. It is happening in Harare next week, and South Africa is participating for the first time. The aim here is to start doing this continental partnership, continental competition, and South Africa's participation for us marks a step in that direction. And what will be interesting is the competition includes 21 languages spoken across the continent. Some of the South African languages also feature, so Sesotho, Setswana, and isiZulu, but our learners will also be spelling our words in Swahili and other languages. So I guess we will be introducing the world to our languages, and our learners will be introduced to other continental languages.
How many countries will participate?
It's more than, I should check that stat, but yeah, it's more than 10 countries.
I mean, how important is it for learners to have teachers and family members support them, particularly even in a competition like this?
It is incredibly important, and even in this iteration, we have guardians that are supporting the learners, so accompanying them to the spelling bee. We know that literacy takes place in the household first, before it even takes place in schools or in learning centers. So communities, parents, siblings that engage on literacy can't be underemphasized.
Yeah. Well, you say we often compare ourselves with ourselves, so here's a chance to test how we might do. How do you think our kids will perform?
I think they will be exceptional. We have, young children representing multiple provinces. There'll be a really good picture of what South Africa can do.
The Department of Basic Education, of course, backing this initiative, which is why you are on the program this morning. Why does that matter?
It matters because we want to communicate that reading and literacy promotion are both important at the household level, at the school level, but also for the country. We see literacy as something we should all be working towards, and we all have a contribution to make.
Is there any platform where people can watch or tune in to monitor the progress of the competition?
There will be, and we'll be posting links on that on the South African YouTube channel of the Department of Basic Education, as well as on social media.
Fantastic stuff. Finally, for parents, teachers listening to us this morning, how do you encourage children to develop a love for reading and language, to do that not only in the classroom, but also at home?
I would encourage all of us to make a bit more effort to engage children in conversations and to make those conversations move beyond instructions. So it's not just that, did you brush your teeth, have you eaten, but having conversations about experiences, about science, about not just everyday things, but helping children build a vocabulary, have richer conversations, and have a space where they can ask what these new words mean, where they are safe, and with people they trust to ask these questions.
I know I said finally, but allow me to sneak one more in. How do we avoid, in this tech world now, right, reliance on tools such as AI or spell check or other digital programs?
It's an important discipline we need to teach ourselves, particularly when languages get complicated. So we know African languages, let's say Afrikaans has these double vowels, and if you don't know that and you're reliant on spell checks and AI, you never learn when you're using double vowels versus single vowels. Similarly with English, which is complicated, it's not transparent. There are times when something like a P and an H can be an F, as we know in phone. And so we need to enforce the discipline of actually manually working out the spelling rules in each language and forcing ourselves to not rely on AI, particularly for young children who are still developing their spelling abilities.
Appreciate your time, Dr. Nompumelelo Nyati Muhoshwane, Director of the Reading Directorate at the Basic Department of Education.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
How good is your spelling, even as an adult? Would you be able to spell well if there was no autocorrect? I'm keen to know. Up next, we speak about the impact of this ongoing war, not only on South Africa, but indeed on the most powerful economies around the world. The dominoes are beginning to fall. That's all to come after this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Khalix. Khalix, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
South Africans told not to panic as the Middle East war pushes up fuel prices, and another top cop accuses Senzo Mchunu of interference. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Government says fuel supply remains stable in South Africa amid the war in the Middle East. Global oil trade and supply has suffered due to the major disruptions, forcing countries worldwide to turn to oil reserves and refineries for supply. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
In response to recent attacks, Iran targeted key U.S. bases across the Middle East. This had a knock-on effect on the Strait of Hormuz, where ships carrying refined petroleum to South Africa face major disruptions, leaving the Republic facing possible fuel price shocks with potential spikes of between 5 and 8 rand per litre. However, the Department of Mineral Resources says there's no need to panic, citing contact with local oil companies and flat out saying there's no immediate risk. The country currently has 2 operational oil refineries, Natref and Astron Energy, in addition to the Sasol Secunda coal-to-liquids plant, all of which rely on crude imports from West Africa. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency has proposed its largest ever release of oil reserves to counter the soaring crude prices driven by the war. Oil prices, which have increased over supply concerns, stabilized following news of the proposal. The reported release would exceed the 182 million barrels IEA member countries put on the market in 2022 following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A decision on the proposal is expected today. Meanwhile, EU's energy chief Dan Jorgensen has called on member states to lower taxes on energy where possible.
If you are at all able to lower taxes on energy, especially on electricity, there is a huge potential. In average, the potential for energy bills in Europe would be a saving of 200 euros per year by lowering the taxes.
Acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Hilda Sentumole, says suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu overreached when he tried to disband the Political Killings Task Team. She also says Mchunu was wrong to exclude KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi when he made the decision in December 2024. Sentumole yesterday accused Mchunu of interference during her testimony before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Hilda Sentumole is the latest witness to accuse Minister on Special Leave Senzo Mchunu of undue political influence. Sentumole told the ad hoc committee that she only found out about Mchunu's directive to disband the PKTT more than a month after he issued the directive. She was asked by EFF leader Julius Malema what she thought of the directive.
Do you think it's a political interference for a minister to write a letter on the 31st of December disbanding the PKTT without consulting the top management of the police?
Sentumole said she agrees.
But he could not sit alone and then make those decisions. So for me, operationally, I think, for lack of a better word, I think he overreached. The intentions might have been good, but I think the process was flawed.
She says Mchunu should have also consulted with the Interministerial Committee, which could have led to a different outcome. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
At the Madlanga Commission, evidence leaders say they have been left with more questions than answers following the 2-day testimony of Northwest businessman Suleiman Karim. Karim's testimony has focused on questionable money transactions between him and controversial figures like Vusumuzi Ket Matlala, Hangwani Maumela and Brown Mukhotsi. While Karim has tried to distance himself from them, the evidence that came up suggests otherwise. Tabiso Goba takes a look.
Bank records presented at the Madlanga Commission show Suleiman Karim sent large sums of money to a company registered to the sister of alleged tender fraudster Hangwani Maumela. Evidence leaders at the Commission have suggested Karim was helping Maumela circumvent a preservation order placed on his assets by SARS. Karim has also told the Commission he doesn't have a relationship with Vusumuzi Ket Matlala. However, he loaned him 10 million rand without a signed contractual agreement. Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says Karim's story doesn't add up.
Well, my first concern is with the numbers. Your version in the statement is a loan of 10 million. It turns out that there were payments of 12.12 million. We need an explanation where the extra 2.12 million comes from. My second concern is that even on the version on the statement, what you have is a loan of 10 million to a relative stranger without any security, which seems commercially odd to me, to say the least.
Karim returns to the commission on the 16th of April. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And Madagascar's leader, Michael Randrianarina, has fired his prime minister and dissolved the cabinet he appointed soon after taking power following youth-led protests 5 months ago. He appointed the prime minister from the private sector in October, soon after a military power grab during protests that sent former President Andry Rajoelina fleeing. They say a new prime minister will be appointed shortly without providing a timeline or a reason for the dismissal. Demonstrations against water and power shortages in September last year snowballed into a protest movement that the government failed to stop with a crackdown that left people dead and injured. Randrianarina has denied staging a coup, insisting the Constitutional Court transferred power to him. Gold is trading at $5,208, 1 cent an ounce. The rand is at 16.24 to the dollar, 21.84 to the pound, 18.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $87.63 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes reported in Kempton Park. This is along the R21 South. It's due to that accident right near the OR Tambo interchange. It is causing delays at this particular moment coming out of Pomona Road. Pomona Road in itself is backed up to try and avoid this accident. People are using this route, and that's the reason for the queue along Pomona Road coming out of the R23.
And in your sport, not a great evening for Premier League sides in the UEFA Champions League as they saw Liverpool and Spurs lose their round of 16 first leg clashes, while Newcastle saw out a 1-1 draw against Barcelona. Bayern Munich picking up the win in the other encounter of the evening. Mamelodi Sundowns have now moved 3 clear over Orlando Pirates after a 2-0 victory over Albert College. And we have the latest from the Indian Wells.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 12 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria, 12 as well, and a high of 26. Vereeniging, 11 and 25. The top story in EWN this hour. Government says fuel supply remains stable in South Africa amid the war in the Middle East that has pushed up some prices.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You find getting dressed for work a challenge? What to wear? Are your suits becoming threadbare? Well, Khaliks has the solution. The latest style, color, and cut in business suits, jackets, shirts, and footwear, all curated to solve your wardrobe challenges. Plus expert tailoring and the very best value for money. Next time you need a suit, make your choice effortless. Choose Khaliks for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, we heard, of course, yesterday, this is exactly what we spoke about after 7 o'clock. How soon do our fuel supplies become constrained as a result of what's happening in the Middle East? For now, government says nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. This, of course, as global oil trade and supply has become uncertain in recent days because of that war unfolding in the Middle East. But, of course, developments have continued this part of the world. The United States now has a new ambassador in South Africa. He's been here for some weeks already. And yesterday, he was speaking at the BizNews conference in Hermanus in the Western Cape yesterday. And the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Boswell III, says Washington is running out of patience with South Africa. And I wonder if this is an ominous warning.
We're running out of patience. We believe that more and more it becomes a statement by the South African government when it doesn't want to respond to simple questions that we have. We may not get clarity on the kill the boer chant that we believe is hate speech. I'm sorry, I don't care what your courts say. It's hate speech. We believe that there is clarity on the expropriation. We believe we can find these things. But the South African government has to step up to the plate.
South African government has to step up to the plate. I wonder which South African government official or any person representing the South African government has chanted that chant of late.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Things you need to know at this hour. The Electoral Commission of South Africa announcing that voter registration will take place on the 20th and 21st of June. The official election date will then be proclaimed by the Minister in the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, as per the direction of the President, of course, once voter registration has been completed. So if you perhaps are no longer living in the area where you used to, this is your opportunity on the 20th and the 21st of June to make sure that you are on the voters' roll and you'll be able to participate in the local government elections when they happen later on in the year. I think it's important to encourage everyone you know to register and to actually come and make their eggs. We typically tend to participate a lot more in general elections than we do in local government elections. I'm hoping this year will buck that trend.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
I'm taking your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702. Your calls on 011 883 0702.
Bongles, another way for kids to expand their critical thinking and not just their knowledge of words, is for them to form debating clubs. And kids in complexes everywhere in South Africa have got a diverse group of kids of all ages. And this should be something that should be encouraged, because that is how you get kids to think critically. They need to take a topic of the day, something like, is it good for a teenager or someone under 16 to use a cell phone? What is the Poppy Act? What does it mean? What are human rights? How do human rights apply to South African children? If you're a foreigner, what rights do you have in this country? We need to start developing kids who think very critically, and then we will have a society that thinks differently and will move this country forward.
Morning, Bongani. Yes, I would be able to spell well. It's WELL. Just for laughs this morning.
I can't. I thought I was the guy with the dad jokes. I can't. So I asked the question earlier as an adult, because we're talking about the spelling bee for the kids in Harare next week. I said, how well would you spell without autocorrect? I framed the question by saying, would you be able to spell well without autocorrect? So that's what that joke was about. It's WELL. It's also the birthday of Terrence Howard today. He turns all of 57. He was born on this day in 1969. You'll know him, of course, from movies like Hustle and Flow, Big Mama's House, and The Best Man series, but probably most notably for the TV series Empire. Terrence Howard says he has learned a lot in his career, and he said if he hadn't got in his own way, he might have achieved even more.
I've grown up now, but the mistakes I made back then, oh my God. I'm the one that put myself in the doghouse. I did not know how to control my anger at the time. I didn't know how to control my mouth. I kept getting in my own way. I'm doing the brave one, and we're at the Venice Film Festival, and some reporter out of nowhere gaslights me. And he says to me, why isn't your name above the titles with Jody? And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, why isn't my name above the titles with Jody? So I started making calls as if that was my right. And it wasn't. And then Joe Silver came and had a conversation with me. He's like, the reason your name isn't above the titles is because you're not the star of this thing. It's Jody. And if you get nominated for an Oscar, it's going to be for supporting actor. It's not going to be for best actor. And I was like, okay, thank you for telling me that. Now I understand. But you have to remember, I'm a man just like you. And if you ever talk to me in that way again, I'm going to knock your teeth out your mouth.
You said that.
This is what I said. And then I have to fly back on a private flight with him.
Can you imagine? You talk to me like that, I'll knock your teeth out. That's not the kind of thing you want to say if you want to have a career in Hollywood. And he says he's learned a lot and he's had to be humble and understand that not everything will come to him in the way he expects.
702. Up next.
The Big Interview.
Eat
EWN Traffic.
All right, let's check the roads. 16 minutes after 7 o'clock, that crash in Kempton Park, Amo.
Bongani, it's really a major one. It's causing heavy delays. About a 20-minute hold-up between Pomona Road and the OR Tambo Airport. Please try to avoid this one if you can, as it is causing delays also along Pomona Road. This is between the R23 and the R21, so please try to avoid the scene. But if you are traveling along the N3 North, you've got more delays to worry about. That's due to the roadworks that are taking place right near Van Buren Road. Delays from the Elands turn off. There's also queuing traffic reported just as you come out of the M2 East towards the Geldenhuys interchange as a result of those roadworks as well. I'll have more traffic updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
17 after 7, on to this now. South Africa's economy grew by a paltry 0.4% in the last quarter of 2025. And that was good news because it was a slight uptick from the 0.3% in the previous quarter. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana assured us in the recent budget speech that we're about to turn the corner as we have course corrected on a number of own goals that had placed us in trouble before. So we're off the grey list. Tax revenue exceeded estimates. Various processes, as you well know, are now underway to deal with grand-scale corruption. But then came the war. Should we have seen it coming and factored its impact on our planning? This was the question Enoch Godongwana's counterparts from the world's leading economies, the G7, grappled with this Monday. As uncertainty lingers about the duration of the war and oil supply and prices remain volatile, are the most powerful nations in the world, like us, mere bystanders? Joining us to deal with all of this is analyst from the South African Institute of International Affairs, Steve Grusz. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you once again for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Steve, there was never any doubt that the United States is indeed the most powerful nation in the world, and that not many can counter its actions on the global stage. But gosh, would you have thought that almost all the nations would simply look away? That won't help anyone, will it?
Well, you're right. The U.S. is extremely powerful, and Mr. Trump has been using that power. We saw it at the beginning of the year with the abduction of Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela. We live in a system of states where we do have the United Nations, but at the end of the day, if one of these states is going to take aggressive actions, be it the United States or Russia, both of which have a veto in the Security Council, what can the other countries do? They can condemn and they can make statements, but really, short of putting troops on the ground and opposing America or Russia, which isn't likely, there isn't much that they can do.
Does the weight of morality not matter? I mean, of course, the whole point of framing it as the most powerful nation in the world means, militarily at least, the U.S. probably cannot be opposed at this stage. But this G7 meeting of finance ministers didn't even call for an end to the conflict.
Yeah, so I think you can see the power that Donald Trump has over his contemporaries and the leaders of other countries. They've been very reluctant to confront him. He is legendarily petty and vengeful, and so they don't want to expend their political capital, I think, on this issue when it's unlikely that the U.S. would be dislodged. I mean, the whole point is that the U.S. has been underwriting the global international order for the last 80 years, and now we have a president who wants to play by his own rules, and I think the rest of the world is a bit stunned, still a bit shocked, and a bit frozen in what they can do and what they have chosen to do.
Part of the difficulty now that the world must navigate is uncertainty when it comes to the messaging from Washington. It would appear senior members of the administration contradict each other and don't always sing off the same hymn sheet. And yesterday, we heard the most extraordinary admission from the US president that he ordered the attacks in part because his son-in-law, amongst others, encouraged him to do it.
Yes, I mean, we have a very capricious occupant of the White House And indeed, I think everybody waits for signals and clues from Donald Trump himself. Then you find sometimes he'll say something outrageous, and then his officials have to walk it back, as they say in America, rationalize it or tone it down. Trump makes his own decisions, and many of them are surprising and sudden and unexpected. And yes, there seems to be a messaging problem when everything comes from the top and there isn't autonomy for the various departments of government. When there is contradiction, it's messy and unclear, and it has consequences.
You used the word capricious. I'd like to add mendacious to that list, because here's an example. He initially claimed, when asked by reporters, that in fact it was the Iranians who were responsible for an attack on a primary school in Iran, in which an estimated 170 people were killed, it would appear, by a Tomahawk, which is an American long-range jet-powered subsonic cruise missile. Then, when he was pressed yesterday, he actually said he didn't know what he was talking about. And then he pivoted to saying, well, who knows if the Iranians had in fact bought that Tomahawk from the Americans? In what world, with all these sanctions that have been in place for so long?
Yeah, I also heard him saying when he was interviewed on Air Force One that, I think it's the Iranians, they can't aim their missiles. So, this is an administration, certainly when it was Trump's first term, that we were told they have alternative facts, which is a very dangerous place to be. But yes, all sorts of mixed messaging coming out of the White House and the other seats of the American government.
Here's the difficulty, is that you can't just dismiss some of these mixed messages and at times really the obvious lies as inconsequential. Our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, is on a state visit in Brazil, or has been this week. And now there are reports suggesting that during that visit, Brazil's president, Da Silva, warned him that countries like ours, Brazil and South Africa, may well be vulnerable to attack. I mean, I don't know if you've heard or seen those reports, but that's a real worry. Or is President Lula overreacting? What do you think?
Yes, I did see those reports. Look, nothing's impossible in this world. And again, back to the Maduro example, 3 months ago, if I'd asked you, do you think that America would catch the leader of Venezuela and have him in an American jail awaiting trial, you would have laughed at me. I think Lula's being a little bit extreme. I don't see troops, massing on the borders, or South Africa or Brazil being attacked. Certainly, they wouldn't be the first to be attacked, but you never know. I think it's extremist. I think it's alarmist, and I think he's trying to make a political point that countries are vulnerable, but also must stand up for their principles and stand together. So I don't see an imminent attack on South Africa. I think that's unrealistic. What I do see is a very degraded and difficult political and diplomatic relationship with the U.S. For a whole number of reasons.
Well, the U.S. ambassador said as much yesterday by saying that the U.S. is running out of patience with South Africa. So let's go back to this Middle East thing now. If this drags on, do we then become an alternative shipping route around the Cape? If, for example, the Red Sea comes into play in this conflict, and given our long-standing logistics challenges, slow improvements notwithstanding, do we have the capacity to be an alternative?
Well, as you say, the Straits of Hormuz and the Red Sea is a very important conduit for products, including oil. About 20% of world traffic goes through that area. Heard this morning that the Iranians have been accused of mining the Straits of Hormuz, which is about a 30-kilometer narrow naval channel. If that's the case, yes, we are going to see traffic diverted around the Cape and around South Africa's maritime borders. That should be a good thing. As you say, we've had problems with our ports and the extra capacity that's required. and it's expensive for anybody who wants to send their goods right around the periphery of Africa, as opposed to a very short corridor through Suez. But I think we will have some increased traffic, and I hope that the improvements that have been made over the last couple of years are ready to handle extra shipping, and that would make some money for the country, at least in the short term.
Yeah, again, the messaging is just confusing because, do you believe what they say the one day when they contradict themselves the next? We were told last year that they had decimated any ability for Iran to produce an atomic weapon, and now this is the reason they're going into this war. The other day, they said there's no navy left, so then how are they mining that Strait of Hormuz with what naval capacity? And I'm just stuck with this thought in my head that we live in a world in which the most powerful nation on earth can kidnap or even kill leaders of countries it does not like. And they may not be the nicest uncles, but still, it's just what Pandora's box is all of this opening?
Yes, indeed, because, Russia was very quick to say that its invasion of Ukraine was because of its own security and its own, its own existential well-being when the strikes were unleashed on Iran last year. Look, we are, Bongani, I think, unfortunately, in a world where might is right is ruling. Will this encourage China to take Taiwan by force? We have to ask these questions. We're in an inflection point, a kind of interregnum where the old rules don't seem to apply anymore, and the powerful countries are pushing the weight around, and the less powerful countries don't seem to be able to do anything.
Any respite on the horizon is the question many people around the world are asking. Steve Gruz is an analyst at the South African Institute of International Affairs.
EWN.
28 after 7 business news now. We've got some growth on the books, Muteo, but it's still well short of market expectations, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess we can take it as a positive, but more needs to be done. South Africa's economic growth was up in 2025. New data from Stats SA shows the economy grew by 0.4% in the last 3 months of 2025, bringing full-year growth to 1.1%. Now, despite that positive number, that number is still below forecasts of between 1.3 and 1.6%. And remember, South Africa has to grow by between 3 and 5% to have measurable growth in terms of jobs. Our growth during the quarter, for the fourth quarter GDP, was mainly driven by the finance, real estate and business services sectors, which went up 1.4%. There were other contributors as well, including catering, accommodation, as well as agriculture, which had stronger activity, especially for crops.
The Red Bank in the black.
Good one. Absa's full-year earnings jumped 12% to 24 billion rand, driven by a strong performance from its Africa units. The closer look at the operation shows personal and private banking increased by 7% to 7.5 billion rand, while business banking, corporate and investment banking earnings rose 14% to 13 billion rand. The lender has forecast single-digit revenue growth in 2026. The group expects a credit loss ratio improvement and return on equity around 16%.
You know what it is? They're all listening to The Money Show.
Yeah, of course.
With Stephen Crutches. That's my explanation. Where's the rand?
16.21, stronger against the dollar this morning. 18 rand 85 against the euro, and at 21 rand 81 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,204 an ounce, or platinum is up 0.5% at $2,209 an ounce. Brent crude now at $87.21 a barrel. More business after 8.
And this Eyewitness News brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Over to Sfisa Zulu.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Justice Minister Mamluku Kubai says it's not her mandate to provide clarity related to allegations of judges unlawfully occupying state-owned residences. Western Cape High Court Judge Daniel Tulare was recently slapped with a notice to vacate a state-owned house in Carls River. Tulare claims judges in the Northwest Province are still being allowed to live in the state houses. The DA called on Kubai to clarify whether any other judges aside from heads of the judiciary are occupying state property. Carlo Peterson reports.
Justice Minister Mamaloko Kubai spokesperson Terence Manasi says matters relating to the allocation of state-owned properties fall under the mandate of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. DA NCOP member on Security and Justice Nicholas Kotsal says Kubai still has explaining to do.
If the Judge Tulare claim is false, the Minister must correct the record. If it is true, the Minister must explain why it has been allowed to continue.
Kotsal says the DA has submitted parliamentary questions for the Minister to answer related to the matter. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
The new state-owned South African National Property Company is gearing up for a massive public infrastructure overhaul in the country. Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson says upgrades to key service delivery facilities are on the cards. The company has identified 884 police stations and other frontline service points described as outdated and unfit for purpose to be refurbished. McPherson says the upgrades will be funded through a dedicated development fund model which leverages private sector expertise while keeping assets in state ownership.
The government cannot be the largest owner of land and buildings and in the one hand and have vacant buildings and then need to privately lease buildings as well.
Despite resigning as Ekurhuleni's Finance MMC and the ANC's Regional Secretary, Chongisizwe Dlabati will remain in both those positions. Dlabati unexpectedly resigned last month. It's understood his resignation was sparked by a fallout with the mayor and ANC regional leader Dr. Xhakaza. But he's now returned to both positions, also making a return to the city council. Alfara Mushwana explains.
Internal divisions and squabbles within the ANC had left the party's structures in Ekurhuleni in limbo after a key figure resigned as its regional secretary and the city's finance MMC. Insiders confirmed that Chongisizwe Dlabati was very angry at the city's mayor and ANC leader Dr. Xhakaza following a massive fallout. However, the ANC's national leaders rejected Dlabati's resignation, in which he had relinquished his position as finance MMC and the party's regional secretary. Dlabati was advised to return to both positions, especially now that the local government elections are fast approaching. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And the lawyer representing a Bulgarian man wanted by Interpol says he's confident his client will be released on bail in Cape Town. Stanislav Stamenov was arrested in the metro last month on an Interpol red notice. In 2009, a Romanian court sentenced him in absentia to 16 years in prison for drug trafficking. He appeared in the Wynberg Magistrates Court yesterday, where the matter was postponed to next Wednesday for a formal bail application. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Stanislav Stamenov's bid to secure his release was dismissed by the Wynberg Magistrates Court yesterday. His lawyer, William Booth, had argued that his client's arrest on an Interpol red notice was unlawful. However, Booth says he remains confident about Stamenov's chances when the bail application is heard next week.
But I don't want to predict what the magistrate is going to find, but having done a few bail applications before, I know what the requirements are, and I feel he fits fairly and squarely into the requirements that a court should look at for the release of a person.
The state has indicated that it will oppose bail. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 11 and 12 degrees, peaking at highs between 24 and 26.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes in Selby. An accident reported along Boyson's Road. It happened right after John Street. It's causing heavy delays. As a result, several roads within this area heavily backed up as a result of the scene. Weber Street is backed up. Erb Street is also backed up. So please be on the lookout there while traveling in Roodepoort. Another accident seen on Ondekus Road. This one is right near the Golf Tourist Club Road. It's also causing delays.
The top story this hour. Justice Minister Mamloko Kubai says it's not her mandate to provide clarity related to allegations of judges unlawfully occupying state-owned houses.
You won't believe how much money Outsurance saves 40-year-old Rafiq on his car insurance.
I saved so much money. 899. That's not small change. It's more than 50% that I saved from my previous insurer.
That's an impressive saving on Rafiq's 2017 Nissan Navara 4x4. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus. How much money could Outsurance save you? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
There's also a question we've been getting around, and I know you've dealt with this as an organization, the allegations that came linking Sizekaya to the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile. Are you worried about how that somehow puts the credibility of the organization at risk? How have you dealt with it?
Once again, I think within the context of everything that's happening in South Africa, we can't be numb to the noise, right? But I can assure South Africans at large that we are in no way politically tainted, politically favored, and we truly believe that this was at the back of a strong, very, very strong and excellent value proposition that we put forward.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Celebrate the power of African storytelling. Join Freedom Park in collaboration with the South African State Theatre for the 13th Ungasali Storytelling Festival on the 14th of March at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. Experience powerful performances through poetry, theatre, music and traditional storytelling as we celebrate voices and stories shaping our heritage. Tickets are available at web tickets for 150 Rand. The Ungasali Storytelling Festival, where African stories come alive. Don't miss it.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore, it's who you are, and you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Every bunny needs a holiday. And with FlySafair's affordable fares, there's no excuse not to go. That's right. If there's one hunt worth taking seriously this Easter, it's the hunt for a great fare. That's where our low fare finder comes in. Simply enter your destination and your travel month, and you'll quickly be able to pinpoint the cheapest days to fly. Head to flysafair.co.za and use our low fare finder to lock down those Easter flights now. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
Hi, this is Carol Shabalala, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. It's more fun when it's for fun. Playing responsibly is always a winning strategy. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The structure you have now, a few months in, are you satisfied it's the correct one? You're not looking at making any major changes?
What I promised the board when I joined ABSA is that I want to make sure that by the time I retire, the organization has succession options, which means then that the caliber of the people that I appoint must be such that they can succeed me.
Kenny Fechler, the Group CEO at ABSA.
The Money Show
on 702. 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Trade powers Africa's growth, and businesses that succeed are those able to manage risk, optimize liquidity, and move confidently across markets. ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking helps enable your trade flows for growth. ABSA is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. I think for Ambassador Bozel to say that he doesn't care what our court says a lot about him. This man is not here to respect our laws. He's here to push Trump's agenda. Thanks.
Bongani, good morning. This American ambassador sounds more like a warmonger in South Africa. He's come through with an ultimatum representing minority interests in South Africa. Now, surely this cannot be allowed to happen in a free and democratic state. And it's my view that as a self-respecting South African coming out from a struggle environment, we cannot allow this man to carry on the way he's indicated, hosted by right-wing agendas. And he needs to be treated in the same way that the Israeli ambassador has been treated. And let's be clear about this. Let's not even be polite to him any longer. We knew his credentials prior. He's proving what he's all about, and he needs to be shown the door ASAP. Faisal on a rather chilly morning. Cheers.
Yeah, on what basis was Mcebisi Jonas marched out of Washington? Right? Imagine if he had said, South Africa's losing patience with Washington. I know the relationship isn't quite the same. And maybe one of the things we need to think about is have a different narrative to how the Americans are seeing us, right? Even the concept of minority groupings or minority interests. Do you remember when Thabo Mbeki was pressed on whether or not they would guarantee the rights of minorities in the new democracy? And he was bemused by the question because he said, why does any group need to have special rights? We will look after the rights of all South Africans because we'll see citizens as South Africans first and foremost. Maybe we need to remind the world that that's what our Constitution is all about.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first we'll give you 1,000 Rand if you can give us today's answer, and then someone will ask a question to get to that answer, and for their troubles, we'll give them 2,000 Rand. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Mpho is in Orlando West. Mpho, good morning.
Hello, Bongani. Morning, Bongani. How are you?
I'm very well. Mpho, do you have today's answer for us?
Yes, I do. Today's answer is black coffee.
How many sugars? Paul, you walk away with 1,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. Black coffee is the answer. Pray tell, what might be the question? And no, it won't be, how do you like it in the morning?
Hey, how's it, Bongani? It's Stephen here. I'm enjoying the spelling. And I was thinking the word that you would spell to describe so much of the stuff we're hearing at the commissions. I think I can do it, okay? It's a little harder than well. It's got more letters. Here I go. Nonsense. Now, I think I'm there. Did I get it right?
EWN Sport.
Full of it, Stephen. Full of it. I actually took him seriously. And as he was spelling, I wanted to actually write down, and then I thought, oh gosh, that's where he's going. Full of it, Stephen. But we'll take it in good humor. I'll tell you what, a lot of Liverpool fans will want to spell out that word and say it out loud following last night's result. Anthony Teixeira.
Yeah, good morning, Bongani. Really not the result that they would have wanted, as Liverpool will need to now overturn a 1-0 deficit in next week's round of 16, a second leg UEFA Champions League, after losing last night 1-0 to Galatasaray. Atalanta fans saw their team beaten 6-1 by Bayern Munich. However, they remained until well after full-time celebrating their run in the competition, while Spurs have now gone winless in their last 9 outings across all competitions. They were thrashed 5-2 by Atletico Madrid, and Newcastle will feel that they missed out on a legendary win at Camp Nou, as a last-minute penalty saw them end 1-1 at Barcelona. Here's Eddie Howe.
Really good performance in all phases, really. I thought we limited them with a really good defensive performance from the team, and I thought we attacked really well too. And although we didn't create an abundance of clear-cut chances, I thought there were chances all through the game for us. Great to see us finally score, and then the last attack of the game, last kick of the game. That's a tough one to take.
Off the field, Barcelona in the midst of a presidential election race, with Victor Font, who's running against incumbent Joan Laporta, calling on Lionel Messi to clarify what went wrong with his potential return to the club in 2023. Former coach Xavi revealed that Messi's Camp Nou return was blocked by Laporta, who feared a power struggle. Instead, the Argentine made the move to Inter Miami in the MLS. Laporta has dismissed the accusation, suggesting that Xavi was merely upset that the club has succeeded after his departure, while Font maintains that voters deserve to hear the full truth after the failed transfer before casting their ballots Sunday. Back home, Mamelodi Sundowns made it 8 Betway Premiership wins on the bounce as they beat Orbit College 2-0. That puts them 3 points clear of Orlando Pirates at the top of the table, with the Buccaneers having a chance to respond this evening as they tackle Richards Bay. While in cricket, the Warriors beat the Dragons by 11 runs in the One Day Cup. Matthew de Villiers, player of the match for his 113. And in tennis at Indian Wells, Yannick Sinner pushed through a 7-6, 7-6 win over Brazilian João Fonseca. Alexander Zverev beat Francis Tiafoe 6-3, 6-4. And Arthur Fields and Lerner Tien have also advanced through to the quarterfinals. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes before 8 o'clock. Talking of spelling, Amo, we might even talk about pronunciation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying it wrong this entire time.
Yeah.
Because what did I rely on? AI. It's not Persia, as I've been saying it. It's the way we say it. We were saying it correctly in the townships all along. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Peugeot. Peugeot. Pretty tough.
Oh, Bongani, we've got delays in Roodepoort. This is along on Durkas Road at Golf Tourist Club Road. This is due to an accident along this route, so please be on the lookout there. Actually, this morning, we are dealing with so many accidents on the roads. As if you are heading to the city of Tshwane, we've got another one right along the R21 North that happened after Olifantsfontein Road. And I'm seeing people diverting onto Hoof Road to try and avoid this scene. You can also do the same, although Hoof Road is also a bit slow due to people using this route as an alternative. And then if you were traveling in Sharon Lee, an accident scene on Malibongwe Drive, this one is right near President Fauché Drive. It's also causing delays in the city of Tshwane, queuing traffic on the N14 North. This is just as you approach the Brakfontein turnoff, queuing traffic there due to peak time delays. I'll have more traffic updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Peugeot professional pickup range. Built tough for South African conditions, Peugeot pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. So from rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. Whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Peugeot has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. Landtrek, it's pretty, but it's tough.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is black coffee, let's go to Ronald in Centurion. Ronald, what's the question?
What's the name of the African record producer and songwriter born in Kosenati, Innocent Mampululu, who celebrates his birthday today, turning 50 years?
And I lied. I said he was born in Mthatha. I know he spent some part of his childhood there in the Eastern Cape. But in fact, it turns out, my producers have told me, Baphelile, thank you. She says, no, he was born in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal. No matter, Ronald. 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's get to KG's Mix.
When you smile,
go fast enough to break free from the bond of your love. And I ain't been strong enough to let go and let God. I can't see clear enough to look past the dust you left behind. And I can't get high enough to forget why I cry. So I'll drive 10,000 miles into the dead of night till I run out of love for you.
If you're watching our YouTube stream, KG has finally played a song Amo can sing along to.
Not Amo loves. Oh my gosh.
Finally, a song you can sing along to. Because usually she looks at me singing all these R&B
no,
songs.
I'm giving you a chance to shine.
Happy birthday, Black Coffee. Born on this day. He turns 50. Now, without insurance, saving on your car insurance feels like finding a till off a gig. 27-year-old Lynn saves a mind-blowing 638 Rand on her 2025 Haval Jolion. Why don't you get a quote now and see if insurance can't save you money? If not, you can ask them for 500 Rand, even 1,500 Rand if you've been claim free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Hi, this is Anlia Itzebet, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
On the go and your stomach's suddenly not keeping up, that burn, that bloating, or reflux could be a symptom of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Well, Ulcernic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer, and it works for up to 6 hours, and there's no prescription needed. You can choose between suspension, tablets, or effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcernic's new packaging. So it's a fresh new look on the outside, but the same trusted relief on the inside. Visit Ulcernic, their Facebook page, for more.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
For over 30 years, Bid Air Cargo has been keeping South Africa's supply chain moving, giving our economy the dedicated cargo capacity it needs. Whether it's really, really urgent, oversized, or hazardous, when a shipment has to fly, we make it happen. Linking all major airports with reliable freighter services, our promise delivers. Bid Air Cargo. Every kilo counts.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, bird.
I mean, yesterday it was all fireworks at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry. A little earlier on, I played the lawyer representing the witness who was on the stand, Advocate Rafik Bana, suggesting the chair of the commission had prejudged the issue, and Justice Matlanga took exception to that, didn't he?
He did. And what I sort of took away from this is I remember a while back you had him on the show before the commission began. You interviewed him, and I listened to him, and I thought he sounds quite measured. He's very calm, and that was what I took away from him. And yesterday, when he took exception to this, he was very angry with regards to what the lawyer for Suleiman Karim had said to him in court. I mean, at the commission. And I like to see a little bit of that
fire,
that side
right?
to him, a bit of fire. So I that's what I took away from him. But he was really, he was obviously angry and cross, but he was also measured at the same time, which I thought was very, very good. So obviously they adjourned and they came back, and the lawyer then did apologize, realizing that the word "if" was used in the sentence by Justice Madlanga. And, the lawyer then was incorrect in his assertions and his judgment on what, the judge had said. But he was very clear. He said, I am not accepting your conditional apology. And he was like, that's it, I'm done. And I'm not accepting it. So it got me thinking about apologies, Bongles. And, when you are in a situation where somebody has wronged you, they've said something about you, they've lied about you, whatever the situation may be, and then they have to apologize. For you, what is a perfect apology? Number one, does it have to be a face-to-face apology? Or, can somebody apologize to you over a WhatsApp message or a voice note? So I'd love to know, like for our 702 family, what is that perfect apology and like sort of non-negotiables when it comes to an apology for you?
Yeah, an apology for me has to acknowledge the impact of what was done. And without that, for me, it's just, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge the impact of the actions or the words, then I don't know if it's really an apology. But it's a great question. Have you rejected an apology before, and why? And what for you makes an apology?
702
feedback
with Siamtanda Matiso.
See, I'm sorry I made you feel that way.
I don't like that.
Sorry, ke.
Sorry, ke. I might as well keep it, Bongs. Yeah, no. Like, that's
So
not
what do
an
you
apology.
do with an apology that you don't think is good enough?
I just keep quiet. You don't feel like you're not apologizing. If you're saying, if I feel that way, that means you're not.
I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry.
Anyways.
What feedback do you have? I'm sorry.
On a lighter note, I just want to bring it. I often say I brag different, Bongs. Where I come from, there's just so many superstars. I'm from Umtata, Black Coffee is from there, Anela's from there, Bongani is from there, Nelson Mandela's from there. Listen, Lonin Maolwana Sangu is from there. Who do you have? Just okay. I mean,
why am I?
Can I tell you? Can I tell you who Amo has?
Who?
Sfisa Zulu in the news.
This is EWN.
Some bodies have still not been claimed after the Omonde building collapse, and Robert Mugabe's son, accused of a shooting, returns to court. Good morning. 2 bodies remain unclaimed at government mortuaries from the building collapse in Omonde. The men, who are Lesotho nationals, died earlier this month when a slab of the second floor of the building they were working in caved in. The company responsible for the site, New Order, has come out saying that it is collaborating with law enforcement to determine the cause of the collapse. 9 workers died and 3 others were hospitalized. Jabuli Lembata reports.
The health department confirmed that 9 bodies were sent to its mortuaries in the city of Johannesburg following the deadly collapse. 4 of the workers were South Africans, another 4 Lesotho nationals, and 1 Mozambican. The department says it cannot confirm whether the foreign nationals were documented or not. But City of Johannesburg says there were no working permits for the foreign nationals. The Gauteng Department of Health, Labour and Provincial Police have refused to reveal whether the said people were in the country legally. The Gauteng government referred EWN to the Ministry of Home Affairs, which has not yet answered any of our questions. The construction company New Order has also not responded to questions about the legality of its workers. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
The son of late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is said to appear in the Alexandra Magistrates Court this morning, where he's expected to bring a formal bail application. The case was postponed last week because there was no electricity at the court precinct. Palamin Mugabe and Tobias Mugabe Matonze are accused of shooting and injuring an employee in their Hyde Park home last month. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
The case was postponed twice last week after the Alexandra Court precinct was was left with no power or working generator for a week. Bellarmine Mugabe and Tobias Mugabe Matonze face 7 charges, including attempted murder, possession, theft, and pointing a firearm. It's not clear yet if police have found the gun used in the alleged shooting. The state is expected to confirm the pair's immigration status in South Africa following a charge of contravening the Immigration Act. If they are found to be illegal in the country, this could bolster the state's case to oppose bail. Last week, Mugabe's lawyer, Sinenhlanhla Mnguni, said his side was ready to deal with the bail hearing. The condition of the employee has been kept under wraps so far. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And government says fuel supply remains stable in South Africa amid the war in the Middle East, which has pushed up prices. Global oil trade and supply has suffered greatly due to the major disruptions, forcing countries worldwide to turn to oil reserves and refineries for supply. Mongezi Gogo takes a look.
In response to recent attacks, Iran targeted key U.S. bases across the Middle East. This had a knock-on effect on the Strait of Hormuz, where ships carrying refined petroleum to South Africa face major disruptions, leaving the Republic facing possible fuel price shocks with potential spikes of between 5 and 8 rand per litre. However, the Department of Mineral Resources says there's no need to panic, citing contact with local oil companies and flat out saying there's no immediate risk. The country currently has 2 operational oil refineries, Natref and Astron Energy, in addition to the Sasol Secunda coal-to-liquids plant, all of which rely on crude imports from West Africa. Mongezi Gogo, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency has proposed its largest ever release of oil reserves to counter soaring crude oil prices driven by the war. Oil prices have increased over supply concerns stabilized following the news of the proposal. The reported release would exceed 182 million barrels. The IAE member countries put on the market in 2022 after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A decision on the proposal is expected today. At the same time, EU's energy chief Dan Jorgensen has called on member states to lower taxes on energy where possible.
If you are at all able to lower taxes on energy, especially on electricity, there is a huge potential. In average, the potential for energy bills in Europe would be a saving of €200 per year by lowering the taxes.
Gold is trading at $5,198.63 an ounce. The rand is at 16.25 to the dollar, 21.86 to the pound, 18.91 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $87.24 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N1 North. This is between heading out of Tembisa due to an accident on the R21 North after Olifantsfontein Road, causing heavy delays as well.
And in your sport, Orlando Pirates will be aiming for a win against Durban City this evening to keep pace with Mamelodi Sundowns in the Betway Premiership race, while UEFA Champions League will see selected fixtures between record winners Real Madrid and Man City, as well as PSG and Chelsea, while the Indian Wells round of 16 will conclude on court.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. 2 bodies remain unclaimed at government mortuaries from the building collapse in Omonde.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Our fuel stocks remain sufficient despite what's unfolding in the Middle East, is the assurance from government. You remember we spoke to the CEO of the Automobile Association just yesterday and the Department of Minerals and Energy on that very topic. We also spoke about the African Spelling Bee, crucial for child development and early literacy. But as an adult, I'm curious, how well do you spell? Without autocorrect and the AI tools and the spell checks and all these digital technologies we deploy as we write. Mateo, how well do you spell?
I think I'm still decent. I find myself sometimes using some of the tricks we got during school, like I before E, except after C, and yeah, those things still help me.
Let's see your scripts, please, sir. No, I'm kidding.
But at times, like when you watch shows like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, then you realize, and when you play along on TV, you're like, hey, hang on, I didn't spell that right.
Kabazela wants to know, what is a perfect apology? And have you rejected an apology before because you thought it wasn't sincere, or it was conditional, or not genuine enough? It all comes from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday, the chairperson taking exception to being accused of prejudging an application. And yesterday, that nice uncle we spoke to all those weeks before the commission, he was nowhere to be seen. Remember, the question was, there was an application before the commission. The chairperson making the application says you've prejudged the issue. Justice Madlanga took exception to that and indeed demanded an apology. This is what he got.
When I was mistaken, I understood you to say that you were not prepared to allow a stand down for the postponement application to be brought, but you were ready to consider the stand down to deal with the documents. If I was mistaken in that, then I'm mistaken, but that is clearly how I understood it.
You definitely are. I did not. It was an if situation, which arises all the time during argument.
Then I accept that.
Thank you. And you apologize for what you said, because you basically suggested impropriety on my part, that I've prejudged issues whilst the matter is being debated. Are you tendering an apology for
Yes,
that?
if I misunderstood it, then I tender an apology. But as you say, the record will indicate, and my recollection is that you said, if you are not prepared...
So you are
for
tendering a qualified apology, a conditional apology.
Chair, if I'm
You
mistaken,
are tendering a
if I'm mistaken,
conditional-
I apologize, but that's not what I heard.
You are saying if the recording can what, so you are tendering a
It's what
conditional
you put
apology.
to me as well, that the recording will reflect what happens. What's good for you is good for me.
So I'm not accepting the so-called apology. Thank you very much. Any further submissions?
No, I did say if I misunderstood, I
I'm saying I'm
apologize.
not, let's step off that. I'm saying I'm not accepting it. So let's step off that. Any further submissions?
No further
Thank you very much.
Where was that grandfatherly, avuncular figure we spoke to all those weeks ago? He was having none of it. They clearly then at some point did review what was actually said, and you can clearly hear Justice Madlanga saying if. And then the real apology finally came. Too little too late?
Thank you, Chair. May I just say the apology is unconditional. I did not hear the if when you made the statement, and what you correctly pointed out is you said if we are not inclined to adjourn, and I understood that you said you were not inclined to adjourn, so the apology is unconditional.
Now the apology is accepted, Mr. Banda.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
So eventually he accepted the apology when there were no conditions placed on it. Muteo, do you accept all apologies, or are there apologies that you say, hang on a minute, try something else, go somewhere else?
There are apologies that I won't accept, especially if I can hear in your tone that you're just trying to get things along, move things along. You know, of course. Rather don't apologize if you're not going to do it sincerely.
For anyone who's not watching us on YouTube, I've got a big smirk on my face as I'm saying, I'm sorry.
At least act like you are, you know?
Amo?
I'm a very simple person. I mean, I've said this many times. If you say sorry, it doesn't matter how you say it, because, you know, it takes a lot for a person to apologize.
Even if I'm
That's
going,
on
I'm
you.
sorry.
All of that drama you are doing, that's on you.
What's a perfect apology, Mutero?
I mean, it's one where somebody explains, look, I saw where I was wrong and I realized that I should have acted differently. I'm really, really sorry. But also don't rush me to forgive you.
Ooh, that's also very important, right? Because then it becomes about you again.
Yeah.
Right? Or people are sorry, but then they're upset that the apology was not accepted.
Yeah. Do you forgive me? I said I'm sorry already.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah,
What else do you want?
So-
Maybe I'm still going to take my time. I'm still stewing in it. For me, it has to acknowledge the harm that was caused.
Morning, Bongani and team. AB here in Midrand. Apology must be genuine, people. But one of the apology that I'm not taking always is that apology. Sorry, hey. Oh, sorry, hey. Okay, askisi, hey. Like that is not apology. Carry your force to say, leave it. Let's just leave it there.
Good morning, Uncle Bongani and team. Hey, you know the kind of sorry that gags you. I am sorry, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Like, why? I'm sorry if, like, why would you say such things? You know, a sorry has to demonstrate that you are really sorry. You have to make me believe that you understand what you did is wrong. Other than that, you're just gagging me.
Morning, Bongani. This is Selma from Roodepoort. I rejected an apology years ago after I was held up at gunpoint in my driveway and assaulted by the burglars or the whatever. And when the insurance guy came over, my husband was here so that he could, well, just give him all the details. And then he phoned me, the insurance person, and he said, I suppose you just gave him your handbag and your rings. I said to him, no, I didn't. I fought back, and for that I got assaulted. Do you want to see my hospital bills? They're on the dining room table. And he said, I'm sorry. I said, no, you're not. Don't lie to me. And that's my story. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Hi, Bongles and the team. A perfect apology for me is when someone says, I am sorry. And I've heard that's just the bare minimum, but an apology for me does not look like I am sorry from Johannesburg.
Gosh. I mean, and even by the point people have to apologize, sometimes human beings, we can just be real jerks, can't we?
EWN Traffic.
It's a quarter after 8 o'clock. The CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. Amo?
Well, Bongani, heading towards the city of Tshwane could be problematic this morning. That's due to that accident that's been reported on the R21 North. It's right near Olifantsfontein Road. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up. As a result, people are using Hoof Road to try and avoid these delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. This is just as you leave the city of Tshwane towards Midrand. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
16 minutes after 8 o'clock. On to this now. If you're looking for talent, where better to find those people than the platform through which 8 people are hired every minute. I mean, in the 3 hours I have on this show, 6 to 9 a.m. every weekday morning, a staggering 1,440 people get hired via LinkedIn. 1 billion users, can't be wrong. Millions of professionals sharing skills, jobs, and career insights every single day. And it offers, I think, a unique window into how the global workforce is evolving. Joining us now is Seamus Clancy, who is the sector head for LinkedIn across Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. He's based in Dublin, but he works in Ireland, I should rather say more broadly. He works with governments, organizations, and companies to understand the future of work, from skills development to how AI is reshaping jobs using insights drawn from LinkedIn's global network. Seamus, you are from Dublin, aren't you?
I'm actually from County Clare, but live in Dublin, yes.
Oh, yes, but that's close
It's
enough.
close, it's
I
close.
think that's close enough. All right, South Africa is one of the most active professional markets on LinkedIn on this continent. That says something about the role this economy plays.
Yes, so South Africa is one of the fastest growing markets for LinkedIn on the continent of Africa. It's a very exciting time, very young population, very ambitious population. So it's a great market for us to actually be in.
Let's start with the big picture then, perhaps. I mean, we talk about the future of work, and it's become one of those peppy phrases people use. What does that actually mean, though, for workers and job seekers today?
Yeah, so the current climate, we're in a technology shift. Okay, we've seen this before. We've had mainframe move to PC. We've had PC move to web. We've seen web to mobile. Now we've moved to AI. Okay, the thing with AI, the jury's out. People are kind of looking at it from the point of view, is this an enabler? Is it going to take my job? What exactly is going to happen? But fundamentally, the way to look at AI is that AI is here to assist us. It's something that can enable us, empower us, make us more efficient. And this is what we need to do as individuals in the workplace. We need to look at it as something that we can leverage and master.
So instead of worrying about AI taking our jobs, we should be looking for opportunities where it could enhance them.
Yes, so as a worker or somebody looking to enter the workforce, the first thing I would say is it's up to you to master the technology. Okay, there's loads of resources out there. You can spend time online. There's free tools, there are premium tools, etc. It's up to you as an individual to master those. But fundamentally, what I would say is at the individual level, it's down to you to show that you are investing in yourself, that you as a person are mastering the skills that we know employers are looking for. I mean, I speak to employers every day and they tell me, I want a well-rounded individual that shows me that they're open to learning, they're flexible, they know what it is to work, to collaborate. It's the human skills that we all take for granted. These are the things that people need to double down on.
So let's talk about having a LinkedIn profile. I mean, I've heard you say this in other interviews. You need a clear professional photograph, right? A healthy network following, regular posting, ensuring that you're getting engagement. Those are all good tips. But what would you say you need to do to gain traction on that platform and use your profile correctly?
Yes, so for me, it's skills, and more skills. Okay, and what I mean by that is, okay, you might have an educational qualification. That's amazing. People add that all the time on LinkedIn. But what employers are looking for and the jobs of the future are looking for specific skills. Now, don't get caught up on I need, like, for example, if it's technology, I need Java. No, focus on the human skills. Team leading, communication, presentation, flexible working, hybrid working, remote working, using virtual media tools, etc. These are the things that employers are looking for. They're actually going through profiles, see stands out by having your skills specified.
That's what I can do as an individual. So how do companies struggling to find the right talent then use LinkedIn solutions for hiring and obviously looking at who has the skills? What do they do? What do companies do to look for talent?
Yes, and this is part of my role, is actually supporting these teams. We have tools which allows them to mine the LinkedIn data, look at the participants on the platform, see what skills they have. So your typical job will list 10 skills that they require, and what they'll do is they'll find people that have 6+ skills that actually match that job description.
You specifically work with the public sector in many of the countries you are operating in. We have one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. We've had this achingly low growth, heartbreaking poverty and inequality. What out-of-the-box solutions could we be applying to improve our situation?
So I'm going to challenge you here, okay, because I do this in other countries, in other continents. I've been working extensively in Latin America. And what I would say is this is a challenge to the government, okay? It's a challenge to public and private education. It's a challenge to the CETAs of the world. It's a challenge to the YESs of the world, okay, so the not-for-profits. They have to create the opportunity for people. The African and the South African youth are very, very capable. They need to be given opportunities. Okay, what I mean by that is give them the opportunity to upskill themselves, to close skills gaps so they can master AI. And when they hit the workplace, they hit it running. Okay, so the challenge is to government to make the opportunities available. It's happening in other countries.
To anyone listening to us now who wants to future-proof their career, what's the one piece of advice they need to remember?
100% invest in yourself. It's all about you showing you have that lifelong learning trait. Show that you're willing to invest in yourself and learn.
don't get satisfied with those degrees you got all those years ago.
100%.
What have you learned since?
Yes.
Seamus Clancy, appreciate your time. Seamus is the public sector head for LinkedIn across Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America.
Thank you.
702.
The Worldview.
Let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Vicky Turner joining us instead, of course, of Adam Gilchrist. Vicky, a very good morning to you. Let's catch up with what's unfolding in Iran, but importantly, the messaging from the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, it is fairly strong messaging, isn't it, from the Trump administration at the moment. Donald Trump claiming that the US has wiped out all of the Iranian forces. And then the US Secretary of War, I always want to call him the Defense Secretary, but of course he is the Secretary of War now, Pete Hegseth, saying that today is going to be the most intense day of US strikes on Iran. Of course, this is a war carried out by the US and Israel on Iran. And we know today that Israel has launched additional missile strikes on Iran and Lebanon overnight, targeting what it describes as Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Beirut. Iran reports conducting a large-scale barrage of strikes back against Israel and US positions across the Middle East. Now, US Central Command states that American forces have now destroyed 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels. Iran's police chief on the ground in Iran has said that they won't tolerate any anti-government protests. They'll be dealt with very strongly with the same force used against the enemy, talking about America. So that sounds a bit doomsday-ish. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a message on X directed at the people of Iran, urging them to remove the Ayatollah-led regime and, in his words, gain your freedom.
Yeah, in the same way, I refuse to call it the Gulf of America. It's still the Gulf of Mexico. Vicky, I, for one, will still call him the Secretary of Defense. Thank you very much. We spoke, I think, about the Iranian football team, the women's team, trying to claim asylum in Australia. Didn't go as expected, did it?
Well, it didn't quite. No, Australia are very open to this idea. We should just remind people that it actually all started, this crisis, when 5 players accepted immediately after this football game they played in Australia that they played an Asia Cup match against South Korea in Australia, and they all refused to sing Iran's national anthem before this game. 5 members of the team immediately said, we want to stay here. And Australia said, absolutely, we can offer you asylum. And then it increased to 7 members. Now, we now know overnight, one of the members changed her mind and got on the plane to go back to Iran. And I don't think really you can blame her, because I think it must be terrifying to think that your family will suffer the impact of you deciding to go against the Iranian regime. The 6 who have now stayed in Australia are obviously going to have to, sit back and see what happens to their families. But I think as things are at the moment, it must be a very scary decision to make. Australia have made it quite clear, though, that if any of them wanted to stay, they would be more than welcome. It is interesting because as the other team members made it to the airport, Australia had to put on extra security to make sure that nobody attacked their coach. So it's a very confusing picture, because I'm not sure why Australians would be attacking a coach that's carrying people from Iran who are scared of their own regime.
Even President Trump said he'd take them if Prime Minister Albanese does not take them into Australia. And finally, works Italy making sure it doesn't.
I had to do a bit of digging about this one. I'm not the most cultured when it comes to artwork, but I'm pleased I did, because I've learned something. Yeah, the Italians have purchased a rare Caravaggio painting for 30 million euros. It's one of the highest prices the state has ever paid for an artwork. The piece is a portrait of Monsignor Maffeo Barberini, who later actually became Pope Urban VIII. So you can understand why it is important to the Italians. It's interesting, this line that came out from their report. They say the ministry sees this purchase as a step towards strengthening Italy's cultural heritage and this is the interesting bit, ensuring masterpieces remain accessible to scholars and the public and in Italy, because there is a wave at the moment of foreign investors buying pieces of artwork to put it bluntly, to launder money, to get dirty money clean. So, yeah, I think the Italians have certainly done the right thing here. The nice thing is it's going to hang in the previous home of this Pope Urban VIII, which it sort of feels like that painting has gone home. And if you don't know too much about Caravaggio, which I didn't, if I'm honest, his paintings are incredible, all painted in the 16th and 17th centuries. And it's his use of how he paints lighting that makes his artwork come alive. I mean, I find it outstanding or amazing that someone is painting so well all those years ago. I don't know why I do, but I just do.
Thank you very much, Vicky Turner, with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
And of course, we know Muteo Haripe's portraits will fetch a pretty sum someday in the future. Will they? Muteo, it doesn't matter. Let's talk Sun International. They're expecting better full-year earnings this time round.
Yeah, up more than 20%. Sun International expects a better increase in earnings for 2025, driven by the favorable debt revaluations over the period. The owner of the hospitality groups and gaming companies says its headline earnings per share, a profit measure in South Africa, expected to rise by between 35 and 39%. Sun International says it delivered a resilient performance last year. The hotel and casino group's debt was reduced to 5 billion rand after a readjustment and a healthy debt to earnings ratio.
0.4% is an improvement if you're from 0.3%.
Yes. A very good one for the fourth quarter in South Africa. But when we look
Very good.
Estimates, when we look at estimates from government itself, from economists, from the market, our growth numbers still falling short somewhat at 1.1% for 2025. The estimates were for 1.3 and 1.6%. So we still need to grow further. Of course, South Africa has been struggling to get over that 2% mark in terms of growth. And the sweet number, of course, is between 3 and 5.5%. So we can have more job creation in our market. Our growth during the fourth quarter, though, was mainly driven by the finance, real estate and business services sectors, while there were other contributors like agriculture and catering and accommodation.
Your indicators.
Well, the Rand has been doing quite well despite the tumultuous period we've had on the market. 16 Rand 24 against the US dollar this morning, 18 Rand 90 against the euro, and 21 Rand 85 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,204 an ounce. It's up this morning, while platinum is at $2,191. Brent crude at $88.06 a barrel. Stephen Grotes with more this afternoon.
Time now for your latest eyewitness news. Sifiso Zulu, let me take you down memory lane. An enormous hit in 1984 was by a Caribbean youth group called Musical Youth. And they had a hit song called Pass the Dutchie on the Left-Hand Side. That's kind of what the Gauteng government might want.
That's right, Bongani, with the ANC-led minority government in the province saying it's in discussions with other political parties for support to pass its budget. Finance MEC Lebogang Maile tabled the 179.2 billion rand budget for the 2026-27 financial year yesterday, with a focus on critical services such as health, education and policing. The EFF has vowed not to support it following a fallout with the ANC, but Maile has urged parties to put their differences aside for the benefits of residents.
We hope that in the best interest of the public, because when you look at the budget, you will see that the bulk of the budget is going to the most vulnerable society. So we are, of course, concerned. So we will work with them and everyone else to try and pass the budget.
A process considering all possible dates for the upcoming local government elections is ongoing. The Cooperative Governance Minister has the authority to announce when residents will go to the polls. The Electoral Commission has in the meantime announced that voter registration will take place on 20 and 21 June this year. Alfara Mushwana has more.
There's been much debate about the possible date for the upcoming local government elections, with some political parties saying certain dates would not be ideal. The law requires that municipal elections be held within 90 days after the expiry of the term of municipal councils. This means the local government elections must take place between November and the end of January. However, concerns have been raised that in November, young people are focused on school exams, while in December, many travel to different holiday destinations, and January is also not considered ideal. IEC CEO Saima Mabolo says the Cooperative Governance Minister must carefully apply his mind.
The minister has to exercise his mind and find the less disruptive date within those difficulties that are outlined.
He says the IEC has already begun preparations for the upcoming local government elections. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson says investors have responded positively to the launch of the new South African National Property Company. McPherson says the state entity will manage government's property portfolio, which includes 88,000 buildings and 5 million hectares of public land. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the establishment of the firm during his State of the Nation address. Carlo Peterson has more.
Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure Dean McPherson says the South African National Property Company aims to cut 6 billion rand spent annually on private leases. The minister says key projects include the redevelopment of Youngsfield and Wingfield military bases into large mixed-use properties.
The big problem that we faced is all of these assets owned by the state where there was just no economic value being derived out of these assets.
McPherson says 12 small coastal harbours have been earmarked for maritime-driven economic hubs with a combined investment of more than 48 billion rand. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And the woman accused of firing a gun at pop star singer Rihanna's home in Los Angeles has been charged with attempted murder. 35-year-old Ivana Lizette Ortiz allegedly opened fire at the estate on Sunday. Aerial footage after the attack showed bullet holes in a gate at the property, which Rihanna shares with rapper A$AP Rocky and the couple's 3 children. According to U.S. media, Ortiz, who is from Florida, has previously been involuntarily committed and lost custody of her 10-year-old child. A Facebook page that appears to belong to her includes a number of videos and posts that refer to celebrities including Rihanna, Kim Kardashian and Cardi B. One post tags Rihanna, whom she challenged to say something to her directly instead of sneaking around like she was talking to her when she was not. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 North. This is just as you approach Grayston Drive. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour. The ANC-led minority government in Gauteng says it's in discussions with other political parties for support to pass its budget.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Was Rachel Kutumeda, the police officer, was she the kind of kingpin?
She's the prime figure in all this, but we do believe that they were working together because some of those killed were family members. Some of them were taking out the policies. After the policy pays out, they would send the majority of the payout to Rachel. She would then distribute it to others. So quite an unfortunate incident.
Brigadier Atlende Mate.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
In business, the right connections change everything. It's the stability you need for that once-in-a-lifetime virtual pitch, the lightning-fast speeds that keep you ahead of deadlines, and the consistent, high-quality signal your teams rely on every day. Because when your connectivity works seamlessly, so does your business. Power your workday with fast, reliable fiber from OpenServe. Built to keep your operations running at full speed. Visit openserve.co.za today to learn more. T's and C's apply.
Every bunny needs a holiday. And with FlySafair's affordable fares, there's no excuse not to go. That's right. If there's one hunt worth taking seriously this Easter, it's the hunt for a great fare. That's where our low fare finder comes in. Simply enter your destination and your travel month, and you'll quickly be able to pinpoint the cheapest days to fly. Head to flysafair.co.za and use our low fare finder to lock down those Easter flights now. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
In my industry, the mission is to turn the G in GDP green. After all, good business shouldn't cost the earth.
Get financial solutions for environmental and social impact. With RNB, sustainability yields more than good intentions. T's and C's apply. RNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
702
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Kabele from Pretoria. About illiteracy and children reading for meaning. In my practice as an optometrist, during an eye test for children, I usually prefer not to use alphabets because of you think the child can't see, only to find that they are in grade 2, but they can't still identify alphabets. So I can relate to the issue that there are children who can't read for meaning by the time they get to grade 4, because grade 2 and sometimes even grade 3, they can identify alphabets.
Morning, Bongani. I'm 34 years old, and when I was in primary school, I read an article about how the text SMS lingo was actually causing people to lose their ability to spell, especially children at that stage. This was in the early 2000s, and from that moment, I stopped using text lingo. Since I was about 13, 14, I've been typing full messages to whoever I send messages to, whether it was Mixit, WhatsApp. SMS is only shortened if the text can't fit. But I think it's important. I don't think I'm a particularly good speller, but the words I do use on a regular basis, I do try to make sure that everything's spelled correctly, and also that the wording I choose is correct. Have a good day.
Good morning, Bongi and your team. Flores here from the beautiful Western Cape. Talking about pronunciations. I think it's many a person's Achilles heel. Unless you a academic, then it's more or less expected from you to pronounce the words correctly. But as long as someone gets what you try to say, then it's fine. Not all of us can pronounce some of these massive words. Like, I struggle to say soldier. Soldier. Yeah, man, and I was in the army myself, and I cannot for the life of me really pronounce the word soldier. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. Have a good job. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frightened, and it's such a window into this issue, is it not? An optometrist who says they've given up showing kids letters as part of an eye test because you'll think they can't see, when all it is that the kids can't read, they can't recognize the letters of the alphabet. Isn't that absolutely frightening? Amo?
It's scary. It is shocking. It's scary. It's concerning. Yeah.
Are you telling me there are children walking around with spectacles who possibly don't need them, but got them because they didn't know how to read, and everybody thought they couldn't see? Because when they're asked, what do you see? Is that an A? Is it a B?
What letter do you see?
And guys, so what does the kid say? I don't see anything. I see a 3, I see a squiggle, I see a shape. I can see it perfectly.
They just don't know.
They just can't read it. That is extraordinary.
EWN Sport.
Tomorrow morning at about this time, Anthony Teixeira, what will Pirates fans wake up to see? I mean, on top of the Betway Premiership.
That's what you hope.
If Mamelodi Sundowns are still on top tonight, I might need glasses.
I mean, yeah.
I won't want to see.
I mean, they do know what's at stake this evening as Mamelodi Sundowns yesterday managed to pick up a 2-0 win over Orbit College, which means that Orlando Pirates have all the pressure on them as they take on Richards Bay in the Betway Premiership. Pirates are 3 points adrift now after this evening. They'll only have 10 games left to be played in the league, with kickoff at the Orlando Stadium set for 7:30. Over in Europe, there's the round of 16 first legs Champions League action, with holders PSG hosting Chelsea. Surprise package Bodo Glimt set to meet Sporting, while we have the fifth successive season where Real Madrid and Man City will meet in the knockouts, and Arsenal are in Germany to play Bayer Leverkusen. Here's Gunners boss Mikel Arteta.
We start the second part of the campaign, and you know what is at stake. We start to play games when you are in or you are out. There is no margin for maneuver, and we're going to face a very difficult contest tomorrow against a really good team.
Last night's 4 matches had 17 goals. Newcastle for large periods outmuscled Barcelona as they were held to a 1-1 draw. Liverpool beaten 1-0 by Galatasaray. No Harry Kane, no problem for Bayern Munich as they smashed Atalanta 6-1, and Spurs slipped up 5-2 at Atletico Madrid after 2 errors which led directly to goals, and conceding 3 goals in the opening 15 minutes. Manager Igor Tudor pulled a keeper Kinski for Vicario. He's under pressure manager who's yet to pick up a win since joining the North Londoners spoke on that decision.
It's easy to say that it was not right decision. You know, he's right guy and good goalkeeper. Unfortunately happened in this big game, these mistakes. So we pay this start of the game was too much for us. In this moment where we are fragile, when we are weak, let's say like that.
In cricket, New Zealand confirmed that Mitchell Santner and Devon Conway will play a limited role in the South Africans' visit. The captain and wicketkeeper join Lockie Ferguson in only being available for 2 of the first 3 matches, with the Proteas set to start the 5-match T20 series Sunday, only a week after the Black Caps lost the T20 World Cup final to India. Test skipper Tom Latham will be replacing Santner as the captain. And in tennis, Indian Wells round of 16 concludes. In selected matches, men's world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz against Kasper Ruud. Novak Djokovic meets Jack Draper. In the women's section, Iga Swiatek up against Carolina Muchova. Jessica Pegula faces Bianca Bencic. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
9:15 on the nose. Let's wrap up the...
Still have got queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Yelands interchange and the Van Buren Road exit. Roadworks are taking place along that route, and then we've got delays on the M1 South. This is between the Baku interchange and Corlett Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 North towards Grayston Drive due to an accident right at the Grayston turnoff causing those delays. Please be on the lookout there. Heading towards the city of Tshwane, delays on the R21 North. The good news though is that accident we spoke about earlier has been cleared, but we still have delays just as you approach Olifantsfontein Road due to roadworks. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Without insurance, saving on your car insurance feels like scoring the last cinnamon donut at the bakery. Well, 45-year-old Niven saves an unbelievable 461 Rand a month on his 2025 Volkswagen T-Cross. Get a quote now, and if insurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142, and that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bets supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Did you know that you have the power to ensure your daughter is fully protected from cervical cancer when she grows up? Yes, protecting a daughter from cervical cancer is absolutely possible. And all that you need to do is ensure that your daughter gets the HPV vaccine at the age of 9. The HPV vaccine gives your daughter the best possible protection against cervical cancer and can prevent her from becoming part of the statistics. This message is brought to you by the Department of Health.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show.
on 702.
He's here to tell us all about it. Clement Manyatela, we've been talking about this all morning. How well do you spell? Without auto check and spell checks, how good is your spelling?
It used to be bad. I think it's better now.
Spell the word Orlando Pirates. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. What's on the show today?
Coming up on the show, Leo Bozel. The EFF is saying that he must be expelled and declared persona non grata. I do think that's a bit exaggerated. The comments, I don't think they cross. I do think it is undiplomatic what he has said.
Yeah.
But you being undiplomatic is not sufficient for you to just be expelled. There's a threshold that must be crossed. I do think that was arrogant and undiplomatic. Like, you come to your hosts. I mean, in this country, maybe that doesn't happen in the US, but here we respect this third arm of the state.
So I think alongside that conversation must be considered the really warm audience he was speaking to in Hermanus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what did you expect? Of
So
course.
I think that for me is part of the worry.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying it to a hostile audience.
No.
They were lapping it up.
And nodding and saying, So we're going to talk about that. In fact, I actually had a meeting with him last week. And off the record, of course, meeting with the ambassador. And I found him to actually be more open-minded in terms of hearing what other people think. So he can have his own view, but he's interested to actually hear that, what do you think? And I found that to be interesting because the impression we were given was, this man is a hardliner, this a puppet for Israel.
So does that then suggest that, as one suspects with many Trump administration officials, there's a public posture they must maintain to please the boss?
Yes, just like their boss.
Privately, things aren't the same.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because one of his contentions yesterday was how the business sector needs to speak up and not say to him what they are clearly happy to say privately that they're not willing to say to the rest of us to hear publicly.
Yeah. But don't you think Trump does that too? Trump has a public persona. Like, when we were at the Oval Office, the way he switched surprised so many of us, because when the cameras were off and we were just making our way in, before we went live in the Oval Office, he was so friendly. He was talking to our president. He was checking with the South African journalists. I mean, even Elon Musk, I've told this story where he touched me on my shoulders and said, "How is South Africa?" Everybody is friendly when the cameras are off. The minute
Were
you
you
go...
touched by an angel?
Well, I suppose.
What was that song? In the...
So, there's something about
touch you
cameras
in your studio?
going on. But it was fascinating, Bongani. I found it really to be fascinating. So we're going to talk about Leo Bozel and whether people think or agree with the EFF that he must be declared persona non grata. But at 10 o'clock, we are going to have a conversation with Vusumzi Nxande. We're starting a new feature today. It's going to be our monthly feature. We're calling it Exploring Spirituality with Vusumzi Nxande. He's going to be joining us every single month to talk about all issues related to spiritual. Us that we discuss how much prisoners cost the state. So how much of your tax goes towards the upkeep of prisoners? And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. We've got someone who sent us an email. Says in their office, they've got colleagues who speak a language they don't understand, even when they involve him in the conversation. And he feels that is rude and he doesn't really know how to raise it with the colleagues. And I know this happens a lot where maybe Bongani and Clement are busy speaking Xhosa, but KG Kimupedi doesn't even understand what we're saying, and yet we expect him to be part of the conversation. How do you navigate that in the workplace or in social gatherings?
All right, Clement Manyatela, he who went to the Oval Office. Remember Felicia Mabuza Sattel? When I was in Atlanta.
When I was at the Oval.
when you have Clement over for dinner, he'll say, "Funny you should ask. Because when I was in the Oval Office, you know when you get to the White House, the first thing you see between 9 and 12
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Start the year right with We Buy Cars. Selling your vehicle? They'll come to you, handle everything, and pay you instantly. Simply visit webuycars.co.za. Complete the form to discover what they'll offer you. Need a new ride for the new year? Browse thousands of options online or at any We Buy Cars branch nationally. We Buy Cars. Buy or sell the simple way.
In my industry, the mission is to turn the G in GDP green. After all, good business shouldn't cost the earth.
Get financial solutions for environmental and social impact. With RMB, sustainability yields more than good intentions. Trees and C's apply. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning 702 dan marabongani when I shem no problem li wotaki shem. There was no need for you bongs to express the whole BBL issue in that tone, as if she did something wrong and as if, oh my world, what is this country coming to? This is the so-called BBL they say I did, because everybody's obviously expecting this huge you know what, and but she's just saying, just a lady doing normal lady work on myself that makes me happy. And to prove that she did not extort money from Ket Matlala. I don't see anything wrong with what she did, but out of the whole situation and what she said, you just had to pick the BBL thing and express it in the tone that you have expressed it in, Bongs. Come on, Bongan.
Woo, we can agree to disagree, my friend. This was in Parliament, in the National Legislature. What, your love for black people, because that's what you're saying, I don't love black people, your love for black people is displayed in that way, by showing off your posterior? Right? I don't know. Hey? In Parliament. For posterity.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Oh man, something is going on at the Untitled Basement. I tell you, week after week, they're bringing some of South Africa's most magnetic voices. And Buhlebendalo is no exception, as you can hear from Ingawe there playing in the background. She's known for her rich, soulful, contralto voice and deeply moving sound. Buhlebendalo's music goes far beyond entertainment. It's storytelling, it's healing, it's connecting to African identity and spiritual being. She's bringing a new show with a number of other musicians celebrating women as band leaders, as creative forces in jazz, soul, and contemporary sounds. And it's called Her, and it's going to be live at Untitled Basement. She joins us on the line. Buhlebendalo, very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani. Thank you so much for having me.
For anyone who's hearing Ingawe they're playing in the background, who may be discovering your music for the first time, what is the story behind your musical journey?
I think the whole story is just self-discovery, and I think I've started investing in myself for over 10 years ago, when I started being curious about the way I look, the way I sound, about my dreams and how I tell stories. So I wanted to invest more in myself. And the only way I could do that was through writing music and sharing the dreams that I have in my head and hoping that there will be people out there who actually think and feel like me. And what do you know? There's a whole community I've created around this kind of music and storytelling.
And you've got this fantastic new show, Her, celebrating women, particularly those leading on the bandstand, but you're also collaborating with artists like Zoe Mudiga, Zama Jobe, for example.
Yes, this is like a series. So every week there's someone who is performing. I understand that Zoe was performing last week. I know Zawadi blessed the stage as well. I think Zama Jobe is a week after me, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a beautiful lineup of creative storytellers. And I'm grateful to the ladies that organized it. It's Divas in Concert. They were communicating with my agency, which is Soft Fansula Consulting, Creative Consulting. And we just said yes because we are always in the line of telling women's stories. And this is a good story to tell.
Got it. So, in other words, every week there's a different performance from a different artist, which then forms the Her series. And when are you headlining the event?
We are on Saturday on the 14th. A little bird told me that we're almost sold out. So if anyone still needs to get
best
tickets,
I get my tickets, eh?
Yes, as soon as possible, because I believe we'll be sold out by Saturday.
Well, what time is your performance?
The doors open at 7. We start immediately at 8. We don't work with African time, so we start immediately at 8. So everyone must make sure that they get their tickets at Quicket on time and be there at least by 7:30.
I'm just loving the explosion of creativity and the artist that Untitled Basement keeps on Untitled Baseline keeps bringing every week, and you're going to be a part of that. Buhle Mandalo, this weekend, the 14th of March, as she says, the doors will open at 7 p.m. It's happening at the Untitled Basement. Buhle Mandalo, congratulations. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening to my music. Oh, blind.
Buhle Mandalo performing at Untitled Baseline this weekend.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
That brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. The Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu.